Okay, so anyway, that started out. So right off the bat, any questions not related to Big Sur or the new Macs? I mean, it's a good time to get some questions out. Obviously, after the presentation, there's going to be plenty of time for questions and answers too. In fact, it's easy to do it as we go along. So anybody have any questions right off? Matthew's got a question. Go ahead, Matthew, unmute yourself.
Okay, this is completely unrelated. Is there like FedEx or Kinko's or somewhere? Is there what? Got me? Hear me? Uh-oh, something happened.
Not hearing anything, Matthew.
How about now?
Is anybody else? Somebody else speak up. I can't. I don't know if my sound isn't working.
I heard somebody.
I heard Matthew.
Yeah, I heard Matthew.
Yeah, I could hear Matthew.
Hang on. Oh, it stopped working. That's weird. Hang on, everybody. Gosh, new computers, gotta love them. Let's see here. Wondered why everything went so silent. Let's see, output. Alexa, what time is it?
The time is 9:10 a.m.
Okay, so that's working. I have a speaker set up and gosh, no, this is why. Okay.
That's the Saturday morning computer class.
Matthew's mic and camera are both off.
Yeah, but he was on earlier. The problem was I wasn't hearing anything. So can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and you heard me that whole time. I just couldn't hear anybody. I think when I did that video, it kicked things out. So anyway, Matthew, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Okay, now do you hear?
I do. Sorry about that.
No big deal. This is completely unrelated. Where would one go to get a small 3D part printed? I've got a broken battery cover for an alarm clock. It's something I don't want to spend a whole lot on if it's even possible.
Yeah, so I know that there's one up here in Rockland, and it's an offshoot of Sierra College. They have a lab. So what you could do is do a search for a maker called a maker lab. And the thing is they would have to scan the existing part and then do that. But if I'm not mistaken, at one point the SAC library also had one.
Yeah, I'll check that out. Yeah.
Yeah, I forget which. I think it was the main library or Arden Park, if I'm not mistaken. If anybody else has any input on that, please go ahead.
I think you're right about the library and maybe libraries. They've had 3D printers for a 3 years.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give that a shot.
And then if it's a part like that, it may have to get scanned because it needs to do it. Otherwise, there's a place out there called Thingiverse, which is it's where there's a repository of people that have made all kinds of 3D drawings available. So Roy, you posted in the chat that you have info on buying a new Mac.
Yeah, our iMac died, so she's using it as her birthday present. But we bought Vicky a new Air, MacBook Air, and the pricing was very interesting because I first got the list if I bought it just regular, as a state employee was $70 off. Education was $100 off. So the computer is cheaper if you go through the education, which Vicky, we qualify because of our daughter. But as a state employee, the accessories we got were cheaper than the education. Education, for the most part, was regular priced. So we got like a magic mouse and some cords and that, and they were about $2 cheaper, 19 to 17, which just threw me. But so I ordered it 2 different ways, and we got them, and so life is wonderful. But it's, I guess they make up a little bit for, on education with the charging you full freight for accessories.
Well, or who knows, but yeah, that's an interesting insight. So, and Apple, you know, they're not stringent about education requirements. And realistically, I grew up in retail, and so what they're really trying to do there is they're trying to make it so that they're not undercutting their retailers like Best Buy and Costco and places like that, because those retailers are very valuable to them, because obviously here we have a lot of choices, but in some towns there may only be a Best Buy and there won't be an Apple store nearby and things like that. So they try to toe the line on that, but take it how it's given and realize that you can there aren't hurdles to jump through if you decided you wanted to join from the education store. So we'll leave that at that. Hint, hint. So, and speaking of new Macs, I'm talking to you today and why there's some issues with this. I have the brand new MacBook Pro 13-inch, the M1, and it's an amazing machine, and we're going to talk about that a bit. We're going to talk about Big Sur and go forward. So first off, any other feel free to chime in if there's any other. Oh, I'm sorry, Randy has his hand up. Go ahead, Randy.
Yeah, thank you. Just I updated Zoom this morning, and I was looking for raise hand, lower hand. They are now in reactions, so that's new to me. Thought I'd share it to the group.
Yeah, that's actually a good point, because also when people have been made co-hosts in the past, they also couldn't raise their hand. So now you can if you're a co-host. In fact, I'm going to make Mary a co-host here, because this way you guys can, if you see people coming in while I'm giving the presentation to the waiting room, you can approve them.
Okay,
So,
thanks. I haven't done it before, so bear with me if I miss somebody.
No, just if somebody comes up and it says admit, and you can do it in the participant window.
Okay.
Bob's helping out with that too, so
Right.
because I may miss it.
The,
So it's under reactions now that you can raise your hand. So
it's automatically moving the raised hands to the top of the list.
well, that has always done that.
Yeah,
The way the list goes is it's, if nobody's got raised hands, it's unmuted people are up top, then muted people are down below. But then when you have a raised hand, it always brings them to the top. So Mary, you had your hand up, and go ahead.
Yeah, I had a friend who just bought a Mac Mini with the new chip.
Yep.
And it keeps dying. I mean, it would just all of a sudden just stop. And I just wonder, they reinstalled all the software, etc. And they said if it wasn't fixed, if this didn't fix it, they'd have to try, and wouldn't be the software. So, because he was on the phone with Apple for a couple hours. I just wondered if anybody else had heard anything like that, or if this is an aberration.
I think it's an aberration, because I'm on a few different forums and stuff, and it hasn't been much of an issue. There is a problem if you try to do a wipe and reinstall thing, but that's completely different than this. That
Okay.
that's one of the things where it it could be defective, and that happens. And it's
Sure.
not been an issue from what I've heard with the M1s. So, and just
Okay,
for
well, I'll pass
clarification,
that
and I'll
on.
go through the whole idea. The M1 is the new chip. Basically, it's the same chip that's used in the current, very close to the same chip used in the current iPhone and iPad. So, yeah, Mary, I would imagine they would do that pretty quickly, and they would probably want it back so engineering could take it apart. Because I haven't heard of that being an issue. There's other issues, but not that.
Okay, I'll give them some reassurance then
Yeah.
that they should get that resolved quickly. Thank you.
Yeah. Barbara, go ahead. Barbara Moore.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Happy New Year.
You all may not remember, but I had my old 5S and I broke down in the beginning of December and bought a new 12 mini. And I'm having a problem with the volume. And from what I can gather, I'm not the only one. The ringer is fine. When the phone rings, that's great. But like when I'm typing, I can barely hear any kind of a click. And when I send a text, there used to be this little swoosh noise so that I would know that it had been sent. And I have to actually hold the phone right up to my ear and I can barely hear it. And I have no idea. I have gone through, all the settings, and I have no idea if there's a way that I can increase the sound for those other functions. And what I have seen online so far is some people have talked about having trouble with the sound in notifications. And I don't know if these are considered notifications, but I'm sure some of you others have gotten 12s by now. So if anybody has any thoughts, because it's very annoying.
Well, now, first and foremost, the little silent button right above your volume, it isn't on silent, is it?
I don't think so.
Well, you can tell when you look at it. Do you see orange or do not see orange? Bright orange.
No, there's no orange. I didn't know. I turn it off sometimes at night, but no,
Okay,
it's
so
on and been on.
that's not it.
That's not it.
Now, if you want to go into your settings on your phone for me,
Sure.
and then go down about 8 items or so, you'll see sound and haptics. Tap that.
Yep.
Now, the 4th item, it says ringers and alerts. Where is your slider bar there?
All the way at the top.
Okay, and is change with buttons green?
No, it's not.
Okay, so turn on change with buttons,
Okay.
and that will allow you to adjust it with the volume buttons on the side of the phone.
Oh, okay. So basically those have been deactivated. So when I'm
Well,
pushing the
no,
volume
because
up-
you already had it up higher. This just allows you, instead of having to go into this screen, you
Yeah.
can physically change it with the button. So,
Okay, and that's to change the notifications as well as the ringer sound.
yeah, well, that's ringers and alerts.
Oh,
So
sorry.
then the other thing is, if you go down below, you see that there are sound. You can do different sounds for the different things, and go down a little farther, and is keyboard clicks on or off?
It's on.
Okay.
And I can hardly hear it when I'm tapping in like my passcode and stuff. Barely hear
Yeah.
it.
Anybody else had any issues with that? Have you done a hard reset on the phone?
No, I have not done that.
That's always a good thing to try, is
Okay.
a hard reset. And if you have the 12, I believe it's something where, in fact, we'll pull it up here. I'm just going to pull up.
And a hard reset is essentially just a forced close, right?
No, that's
No.
the apps.
Okay. Then maybe I don't know how to do it.
So it's a weird process because you don't have a home button. So you quickly press and release volume up, then quickly press and release volume down, and then you press and hold the side button.
Press and release volume up. And what was the second thing to press and release?
Then press and release volume down, and then
Okay.
press and hold the button on the other side until you get the Apple logo.
Okay, so I release them after I quickly press them, right?
I'm sorry?
I release them after I quickly press them. I release the up and release the down, and then press the button on the right side.
Yeah, press and hold the button on the right side until
Right.
you get the Apple
All right,
logo.
let's see what happens when I do that.
And that applies to any Face ID phone. And it's not bad to do that occasionally anyway, because it does clear up things, but that would be something to try.
I did that, and I get this weird symbol down at the bottom. I think it might be Siri. So let me try it again.
No, you have to do it directly right after you do the other two. Yeah, you're getting Siri because you're holding it. So press and release volume up, press and release volume down, and then immediately press and hold the side button.
No, nothing happened.
Okay. I'm gonna put a link in the
Yeah, I don't want to hold. I got it. Slide power off. Got it.
yeah, that's it.
All right, I'll try it and see if it works. If not, I'll ask again later if anyone has any ideas.
Okay.
right,
Paula,
thank
you
you.
have a question?
Yes, I do. Thank you. So I am sometimes on my iMessages, I don't get a number or a sound, an alert. And sometimes I do.
On what
So,
device?
it's an iPhone 11 Pro Max.
Okay, so again, that would go in, it's only sometimes it happens?
Yeah, it's not always, which makes it hard to problem solve.
Well, but so the thought is possibly on another Apple device, you're getting the message there and looking at it?
Oh. But shouldn't it be across?
No,
So-
once you've looked at it, it doesn't notify anymore. So,
Oh, I see. No, I don't. I'm not looking at another device.
oh, that's weird. Could be a little quirk in iOS 14. I would again, same thing, do a hard reset.
Okay.
I hate to make that sound like the answer, but just like on your Mac, so many 95% of the problems can be fixed if you simply just restart the Mac.
Oh, I've actually done that. Well, it may be fixed.
No,
since
did you do the
I've done
hard
that.
reset though?
Yes, I've done that.
Oh,
But
okay.
it may be working since then. This could be before that. I haven't actually noticed. So maybe it fixed it.
Well, good. Yeah. Or make sure the software updates, because if it's something that's across all of them, it'll be there. So,
Okay. All right.
great.
Thank you.
Christina, go ahead and ask your question.
Yes, thank you. I have a friend who lives in Southern California, so 400 miles away. She's elderly. She's got some learning disabilities. She has a MacBook Pro refurbished. And she gets herself into trouble and there's no one there. She can ask for help and I'm up here. Is there any program I can have her put on her laptop, or I can put on her laptop next time I visit, that will allow me to access her laptop so that I can get her out of these situations?
Absolutely. And you're currently using it.
Okay, great. I wondered if Zoom would do it.
Yeah. So with Zoom, you can get a free account, and
Yes.
that will allow you to be in at least a 40-minute session.
Yes.
And she would not have to have a Zoom account. You would simply send her the link to the message, very similar to how Bob sends out the link to this message.
Yes.
You can initiate a 40-minute session. If for some reason you need longer than that and it times out, you would just restart the meeting.
Correct.
And when you restart the meeting, it would go. Now, she may still be able to connect without having to redo it, or it would be the same link again. But then what happens is on hers, if everybody looks at your Zoom screen, in fact, let's go. Does everyone that's on a Mac have a bar along the bottom that shows mute and video and all that?
Yes.
If you don't, what
no.
you want to do is set, and if you go up to the Zoom in the upper left and come down to actually, let's look here. Window. So actually, if you're in zoom.us at the top, go across to the word window, and down fourth from the bottom, it says always show meeting controls.
Okay.
So you would want her to enable that.
Okay.
And that's actually what it looks like. It's control /, but if you click that, she would have that on. And then and you guys could do that now too, because that way that dock stays there the whole time. So then she would come down and click share screen, the green box right in the center at the bottom.
Yes.
And then on once that screen comes up, everybody don't do this, please. No one share their screen right now. But when you do, you can click share screen once, and then in the lower right, you would click share. No one do that, but that's what she would do.
Okay.
And then once you're in that share screen, there's the ability for you to request remote control. And then she has to approve that each time. And once she's done that, then you have complete control. When we get done today, I'd be happy to go over that with people because it's a great tool.
That's great. Yeah, it'll probably help with my dad too.
Yeah, and then if they have an iOS device, there's a way where they can share that with you too, but you can't manipulate it, but you can see their screen and do it. And that's what I'm using for tech support. And it's wonderful. It'll allow me, when we can travel again, I'll be able to help everybody from everywhere. So
that's great. Thank you very much.
You bet. Randy, you had your hand up, and then Karen after that. Go ahead, Randy.
Yeah, a simple basic refresher question. Elaine and I both share an Apple ID so that we can download apps for our mobile devices. The question is, when Elaine or me, either of us, want to delete an app off of one device, is it my imagination that that app that one person tried to delete repopulates? It's like it repopulates itself.
And we're talking iOS?
Yes, iOS, just for mobile devices.
Just grab one of your iOS devices and go to settings.
Oh. Okay.
And go down to App Store. Oh, wait.
Oh, yeah. Okay. App Store. Got it.
Hold on. Because what you want to do is you want to tell it not to sync.
Oh.
But let me look here. Looks like they may have changed that. Because what happens is it tries to keep things in sync for you.
Oh.
Oh, so automatic downloads, the very first one, you would want that off.
Okay.
And then app updates are okay, but apps, what happens is it's trying to sync all your devices so they're there.
Hey, buddy. Thank you.
See if that did it. All right, Karen, go ahead. You're next. Welcome. Happy New Year.
Regarding using Zoom, that 40-minute time limit does not apply to one-on-one meetings. It's only when you add a third person that you get that 40-minute time limit. At least that's according to the Zoom website.
Oh, wow. Because I know they had waived it during the holidays, but I didn't know that they didn't have it. So that's good news. And people can report back.
Laptop is down there. That's why I haven't got it up here.
Okay, I got to find out whose that microphone is. All right, Matthew, go ahead. And Rich, I'll get you in a sec. I see your finger. Matthew, unmute yourself.
I did.
Okay, go ahead.
Apple Watch question.
Okay.
Has anyone have a recommendation for a comfortable band? I got the one that has the sport band, the standard band, and I absolutely hate that band. I'm surprised Apple even sells it. It's so bad. It just pinches my wrist. And I'm just wondering, has anyone tried one of those, the braided loops or the other ones? Are they more comfortable? But I definitely need something better.
Well, and I know Al may chirp in on this, anybody else, but me personally, I got the braided band and I enjoy it. It's very comfortable, but so far, my most comfortable band I ever got from Apple, and of course there's tons of aftermarket ones, but it's a Velcro band that has a slight amount of stretch to it. And it pulls through. And what I like about it too is when it's loose, it's still captured on your wrist, but it's their Velcro, I forget what it is. It has a slight amount of stretch. I think it's a more comfortable band than the braided, the braided comes in sizes, and I've noticed that, you know, you don't really realize it, but the amount of water your body retains changes during the day, and it can affect that. So anybody else?
Yeah, I have the same, and it's like you said, stays on your wrist, and you can pull it off then if you want. I broke a watch with the old band that slipped out of my hand, and you know, hit the tile floor. So I swear by the Velcro. It works great.
And to call it Velcro, it's more than real Velcro. It is stretchy, and it's specific from Apple. And to me, it's the best band there is.
Okay, I'll give that one a shot. That's the what do they call it? That something the
I'll
nylon
look it
loop?
up
Is
right
that what
now
it
while
is?
we start to get the other question, because I think it's Velcro loop or something like that. Hang on here.
I didn't even know you guys were going.
Ken,
Yes, Karen, go ahead.
I've used practically all of the bands, I think, and I find the Milanese loop is the easiest for me because as my wrist changes during the day, I can make just infinite little adjustments to it with no problem. The only problem is it's very expensive. And if you go out to Amazon and try to buy some of their mesh bands that are really, really cheap, they snag. And if you're wearing a sweater or some kind of a loose knit, those cheap Milanese type bands will catch, and the Apple one never does. So
yeah, as far as metal bands, it's definitely the most comfortable. Some people have had issues with it grabbing hair and things, but it's called the Sport Loop is what the Velcro one is.
Oh.
It's the Sport Loop, and I'll tell you, it's phenomenal. And it actually works just like the Milanese loop. The Milanese loop uses a magnet, where this, in place of a magnet, uses that. Another band that I haven't used in a long time that's very comfortable is called the leather loop, and it is magnetic. It closes just like the Milanese loop, but it is soft leather with some reinforcements around it, but still by far the sport band for me. So
Okay, well, thanks for the recommendations.
yeah. And actually, once the Best Buy stores, if they're open, you can check those out. And again, there's so many aftermarket ones available too. But on that one, I just got hooked on it. They make a Nike version and a non-Nike version, and they're both pretty much the same. Any other, Barbara, go ahead again.
Yeah, I have one other question, and that is, I have not been able to figure out how to send a text message to more than one person on my 12 mini.
On your iPhone or on your Mac?
Yeah, on the iPhone 12 mini.
So you just put the person's name in first, and then just start adding another person's name.
Huh. I tried that. I went into my contacts and I tapped on the first person and hit message. Did that with the second person, but the second person didn't.
No, you have to be in the message. You can't do it from the app.
Oh, okay. Have to go into message.
In messages, you hit the little, in the upper right, you hit the little box with the
Right.
pencil in it.
Right.
And then you see you can put in the name. And then you would hit return after you do the first name.
Okay.
And then you can start adding the second name, etc. Or you hit the plus sign in the upper right and navigate to your, with the plus sign in the upper right, you would navigate to your contacts.
Okay.
And then everyone is in that group, and you're populating it across.
Okay, great. The very first time I tried to send a message that way, which is the way I used to do it on my old phone, didn't work. But for some reason, I guess it self-adjusted after a while, and now I can do what you said.
Well, the one thing is sometimes people will put in a name, but they're not referencing. You need to pick from the chart when it starts to fill in, because otherwise you're just putting in a name like Mark, for instance, and Mark doesn't have any. It's not. You need to find Mark's contact and put that, because the name Mark probably won't work. It's probably Mark's phone number that you need.
Yeah, no, that's actually what I tried the very first time. It didn't work. But then the first time that I tried my phone, it didn't transfer all of my photos, but 2 or 3 days later, they showed
Oh, no,
up.
the photos
So,
will take a while because of the cloud.
okay, maybe that was just it. Okay, thanks very
Yeah,
much.
contacts should be pretty immediate.
Okay, thanks.
All right, and Rich, you had a question?
Yeah, mine has to do with Time Machine. I went back and restored some data, and it came through as expected. And then it reverted back to the original problem screen. So I didn't know whether it was iCloud was overriding it, or how come.
Well, what was you need to be more specific.
Okay. I was using some financial data, and I'm using Banktivity.
Right.
And I got some data from.
Are you letting Banktivity go in and get your information from your account?
Well, the Banktivity is the account.
No, but Banktivity is an app that goes in. Are you letting it sync with your bank account?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, that could be why it did it, because it could be syncing with your bank account and it would be updating the information that way.
Well, I have one screen and it's a problem screen. So I go to the Time Machine and restore what I want. And it comes through and I see the corrections. And then it goes back to the problem.
Yeah,
screen.
wow. That sounds like it might be a specific Banktivity thing. So you may want to talk, check, they may have a forum or check with their support.
Okay.
The only other thing I could say is it may be looking for and this happens while you're doing it or next time you start it?
While I'm doing it.
Yeah, I would make sure it's not syncing with your bank. Or the other thing is make sure it's not doing an iCloud backup that's probably overwriting.
Well, that's what I theorized.
Yeah, but it would be an option in preferences. I don't know Banktivity. If anybody else knows that, they could chime in. Otherwise, I suggest you talk to their support.
Is there a way to deactivate the iCloud?
I have no idea. That would have to be in your preferences for the program. I don't know that program.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Joellen, go ahead. Need to unmute.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, I have a new iPhone, and I've never had this happen before, but I do have an outrageous number of old email messages in my iCloud account. And when on this new iPhone, when I go to mail, it downloads the current mail, but sometimes it starts pulling in mail that are ancient, not ancient, but messages all from June was what was happening first, as if they were brand new. And now it's up to downloading messages from July. And I go through and delete all of those.
What mail service? What mail provider?
Mail. Oh, what? Yeah, mail. I mean, Apple
Mac?
Mail. Is that what you're asking?
Is it Mac iCloud?
Yeah.
You sure it's iCloud or Mac.com?
I've never used anything else.
Okay. So that's what's left on the server and it's just bringing them down. But it should, once you delete them on the iOS device, it should delete it on the server.
Right. Well, these are evidently all messages that I never deleted.
Messages or email?
Oh, email.
Yeah. So if you've never deleted them, it's just going to bring you everything that's on the server.
But it's doing it very gradually, like
Uh-huh.
every couple of days, 30 messages.
Oh, the older ones.
Right.
How's your internet connection?
Variable.
Yeah. So that could be why it's taking a while.
Uh-huh.
You
Well,
can
it's been
always
a couple
check that.
months.
Just go in the browser on your Mac, go into iCloud.com
Uh-huh.
and you can go to your mail there, and that shows you everything looking right at the server.
Uh-huh.
So that would be the place to manage that and see what's going on.
Okay.
And the same applies for people to have a Gmail account or, you know, any of the others. If you go into the browser and look at it, you're looking right at the account. So
One
Okay,
other
yeah, it's
possibility,
just-
hey, Bob's got some input there, Joellen. Go ahead, Bob.
well, some people are in the habit of force quitting apps on their iOS devices, and if she's doing that, it's not going to sync while it's not running.
No,
Yeah.
I don't do that. And it's just weird. This has never happened before.
Yeah, and it could be a 14 bug, but I mean, it should go out and get mail that's left there.
Yeah.
And you were saying you've deleted it before. Well, for some reason it
No,
didn't.
no, I don't know that I have.
Okay. Well, then
It
as
just
far as the
shows up as
slowness
if
of it
it-
coming in, yeah, it could be a wonky internet connection, and it may not want to be doing it on cellular. And generally speaking, with IMAP is what it uses. It kind of previews the message, but doesn't really download the message until you get there. Now, are you scrolling down and then it starts filling in as you scroll down?
Just when I open the app, you know, and it looks like you have a whole bunch of new messages. Well, my new messages are from June.
Yeah, but those are messages that, so they could be keyed that they thought they were never read, but sometimes a weird thing will do that. So,
Yeah. Okay, well,
All right.
I'll keep deleting. Yeah.
And Christina, question?
Yes, thank you. That sparked another concern I have, which I've been having lately with my email, with the map app. I'm sorry, my gardener's here. I don't know if you can hear them.
Yeah, go ahead.
Map app on the my Mac laptop. So I've been having an issue lately when I go to send an email, especially if I have an attachment or maybe I put it in a small photo. I don't do large, but I do like a smaller medium. And then all of a sudden it won't send. And I go to find, and me brainstorming, I go to find out it's changed my email. There's a connection doctor. There's all these things offline, one's online, but sometimes I have to wait 10, 15, 20 minutes to find out what's working, what's not, you know, and figuring out why it's not staying consistent with my Gmail address. Why does it change? I go into preferences, I double check there, and I just find it really bizarre. And last night on my Map app, I couldn't get any new mail, but when I went into Chrome and went through Gmail, there was all my mail. And I just find it bizarre. Why am I?
What operating system are you using on your Mac?
Oh, that may be an issue. It's an older one. I am using version 10.14.6 Mojave.
No, that should be fine. And it won't send, but it comes in.
Yeah, yes, I've had that issue where it won't send, but I'll get mail. And then I, you know, start going through and I've discovered it will change my email address from Gmail to me, to iCloud, to
For outgoing mail?
Yeah, it's weird.
Well, so what you can do is go to mail.
Yep.
In fact, here, let me, I'll bring my screen up.
Like this morning, it still
Just
hasn't
hang on,
downloaded.
hang on,
It says account
hang
error.
on. So in mail, go up to mail, come down to preferences.
Yes.
And over in preferences, you'll have a tab that says composing.
Okay.
So what does it say on the 6th line there? Send new messages from.
One moment. Mail preferences,
Composing.
composing.
6th line. Send new messages from. What's it say?
The new messages from automatically select.
Yeah, that's the problem. So you want to select what you want to be on a
Gmail.
new message, what you want it to go from.
Perfect.
Because otherwise it's trying to automatically select it and send it from whatever box you're in. Another thing I always uncheck here is increase quote level. I turn that off because that gets ugly. While we're in mail preferences, everybody, MAIL preferences, click on general, and over here, junk is not selected. I highly recommend you click junk, because that means when you're trying to search for mail, it will check to see if it's in the junk folder. It is not on by default.
Good. Thank you.
All right. And let's see, Barbara, you got another question there? Go ahead.
Yeah, it was something somebody else said that reminded me. When I send a text message to someone who doesn't have an iPhone, sometimes it will go through if I'm just on Wi-Fi. Other times I have to go in and turn on the cellular data to get the message.
Why do you have cellular data off?
I use it because it runs the battery down a lot, so I use it if I'm going to do it.
No,
it does on my phone. It goes down way faster if I've got cellular data on. Way faster. Honestly,
which phone do you have?
It was true on my 5S and it's true on my 12 mini, on both of them. If I leave the cellular data on, the battery goes down way faster. Honestly, it does.
I could see that on the older phone, but I don't think that it depends. It depends on if you have some other stuff going on in the background, but so what happens is if you have cellular data off, it won't send it an iMessage. It'll go only as a text.
Okay.
And it's because cellular data just means that's internet and you're using Wi-Fi instead. But the text message will go over cellular regardless, but iMessage probably won't do it that way. It's a weird thing, but you can turn it on and off for specific things. But you can look at what your cellular data, what is using your cellular data in your phone. So if you go into your phone, and you need to have it on for a few days to check, but in your phone, in settings, go down to cellular, and then below that, it will show you what things are using cellular data and how much.
Okay.
And that's, you may have some rogue app doing something, but it shouldn't affect your battery life unless you're on the fringe of a tower, and that's going to be whether you have cellular data on or not. So.
Well, down here in Monterey, we don't have as good a coverage as you do in places like Sacramento.
Well, it depends on the carrier and other things, but when you're on Wi-Fi, so even if you have cellular on, it should use your Wi-Fi if that's first for your data.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yeah, it will make every attempt. There's another thing that you can do that if your Wi-Fi is not very good, there's at the bottom? There's a thing called Wi-Fi assist. Yeah, if you go all the way to the bottom, there's a thing down there that says Wi-Fi assist. Okay. And what that means is if for some reason your Wi-Fi is poor, it will use cellular.
Okay.
So if that would be something, and it shows you there how much of your data it's using.
Okay.
So that's a nice thing you want to have that on, and you can, unless it's taking your data, but just use this to find out what's using your data. And it says this billing period, last billing period, and you can see, because you may have something weird that's doing it, because you shouldn't have to toggle that on or off.
Okay. Thanks, Ken.
Yep. All righty. So any other question? Great questions too, by the way. And this is good because I don't have a really long presentation. So it was good. We spent some time on this and we got some things done. So.
And Ken, I have one. I couldn't raise my hand for whatever
It's under
reason.
reactions, Mary.
It is. I guess I didn't update the Zoom. It is.
Oh, okay. You can't. Yeah, it's co-host. And
okay,
so I'm going to make Al a co-host.
Good.
And I will undo your co-host so you can
raise my hand.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Well, here's
fine.
The issue is my daughter has a game program from Origin or EA, and every time she uses it, it takes the computer a long time to recover. I have to, in fact, that's why I was late this morning. I got up at 8. I mean, I was starting at 8, restarting the computer, quitting, making sure all the apps were out. I even run disk utility, which is, I know, a weird thing, but it's somehow, my computer is a little wonky. But this has happened for a number of times. Even though she quits the app and we restart the computer, I have to do it at least twice. What's going
Yeah,
on?
well, it's that particular game app that's doing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
But
well,
what remains if you
there's
keep,
it's called memory leaks and it may reboot. And so you can always go into activity monitor
okay,
and you can go there and force quit it in there, and that'll tell you if
Oh,
it's
you make
doing
some
stuff.
food,
But
don't you?
that would lead me to believe that that's what's happening. And
you
you
mean
could
so
even
that
do a
even
command
after
option
she's,
PR run reboot called zapping the pram, command option P and R. What happens is that game, that the stuff, artifacts from that game may be sitting in RAM or in the PRAM, and it's just it needs to be cleared out. But that's a really,
okay,
that's a poor design of a
yes.
website.
It wasn't designed for Macs, and it's been that way. She's been using it for 10 years and it's always that way. So I zapped the RAM. Is that what it's called?
Zap the pram, and it's command option P and R. You hold all of those down until you hear the startup chime 3 times.
Okay, I'll try that. Thank you, Ken.
Yeah, that would be a try. I want to point out, everybody, so we have you on the bottom of your screen there, you have a participant screen and you have a chat screen. And in the chat screen, Al has been doing a great job, as he always does. He put a thing onto a link for watch bands. You guys can click on those links as you go or save it at the very end. Randy sent me a personal message, wanted to know about my background. Did I have a tough New Year's Eve, and when's my parole?
He's in jail.
And then Al did some more stuff about doing multiple text, the group text that was discussed. And you can keep an eye on that stuff. So good. And Al, I've made you co-host so that if when I'm doing the keynote here, if anybody needs to get admitted. So
Mary's still co, and
I took Mary off co-host, and you're still co-host, Bob.
No, I'm not.
Oh, really?
When you did Mary, you actually did me.
Oh, sorry. I must have been you instead of her. Let me check. Mary. Let's see here. Oh yeah, sorry. It slipped. Okay. All right, so let me go ahead and share my screen. And got a few videos and stuff, and let's get the keynote going. All righty, so I did start recording, and I'll have to figure out at the end why we can't do it. But anyway, I'm hoping this works. And Al, by the way, I'm not doing dual monitors, so I do not have participant screen or chat screen. So feel free to alert me if any questions come up, and you guys please do ask questions as we go along. So, okay, there we go. So, it's funny. This was a slide I put together for our anniversary meeting, but it really is appropriate that here is the early Apple, and Apple's gone through. So, we started we started Mac OS 10, and we went all the way up through 10.14. And 10.14 was, no, 10.15, right? Yeah, 10.15 was Catalina. And they finally went to Big Sur, and with Big Sur, it's now Mac OS 11. And so Mac OS 11 is the newest, and that's what we're going to discuss, that and the new M1 Macs. and I'll go through, and it's got some slides for that. So it was all part of the One More Thing announcement that was put out back in October. And the basis, and this ties into Big Sur, and you're able to put Big Sur on Macs, the Intel Macs previous to Apple Silicon, excuse me. But Apple Silicon is a huge deal. Ever since the iPhone 4, Apple has been making their own chips for the iPhone. When I say making, they design the chips, but they have them manufactured by another company, and it happens to be TSMC. It's Taiwan Semiconductor, but it's on what's called an ARM chip. And believe it or not, the ARM chip goes back to the old PowerPC. So if we think about this, back in the day, Apple had, I forget what the chips were before PowerPC. Bob probably has more memory on that, or Al does. The old chips before PowerPC, I can't remember what it was.
68,000s.
That's right, 6806 and all right there. And that was a Motorola chip, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think.
Correct.
Yep. So that was a Motorola chip, and that was what they were built on. And then Apple went to the PowerPC chip, and that was a collaboration with IBM, Motorola, and Apple to make what's called a RISC chip, which is a reduced information system chip, I believe, something. But it was a different setup than what Intel was using. And Intel was using a sys chip, which is a complex chip. Well, the PowerPCs worked very well. And of course, that at one point, Apple even did the clones with the PowerPC chip. So then Apple made the announcement that they were going to start sourcing from Intel. And we used Intel chips for a while. And you remember in the transition between going from the PowerPC chip to the Intel chip, we still had programs that were PowerPC programs, and you had to use a program that Apple developed called Rosetta, and Rosetta would be a translator to make that program run on the Intel chips. So then we went through the Intel chips, and Intel, AMD, NVIDIA, there's a bunch of manufacturers of the PC chips. So what was happening is the Intel chip in the Mac was essentially the same chip that was being offered in PCs, because Intel, as a big company, was trying to stay on top of that, but they had big competition. And Apple wasn't, until the iPhone became so popular, Apple didn't have the financial horsepower to be able to develop their own chips. Well, as it went along, Apple was using the Intel chips, and it was quite successful. And one of the nice things is then you could run boot camp. So you could run, if you have people in business that needed a Windows machine, their Mac machine could do Windows or do Mac, and it was quite good. But at one point, Intel had the option to make a small chip for the iPhone. And they decided to pass on that. And it's, in business, considered one of the biggest failures ever. Was Apple went out and got ARM chips. Believe it or not, in the early days, it was an ARM chip, which ARM is started as an Acorn computer company out of the UK. And it was another version of these RISC chips, these reduced infrastructure chips. And that's what the iPhone used from day one. And because Nokia and other manufacturers of phones had used that all the way along. So Apple didn't have the horsepower, the financial horsepower at that point to do their own chip. So they were taking an ARM chip that was produced, and they were making the software fit the chip. And essentially the iPhone operating system was a simplified version of Mac OS 10. They just rolled it into the phone, but they made it work on that ARM chip. So it was, as the iPhone went along, it was working pretty well, but Apple really saw the handwriting on the wall that they wanted to do custom chips, because a phone is such a hard thing to design when you think about it. There's no fan in them. Battery life is essential, and they have all these sensors and they're doing so much. So it's a lot different than a desktop machine where you can plug it into a 110 outlet and get all the power you want. So Apple, starting with the first A chip, the A1, I believe it was the iPhone 4, it may have been the iPhone 5, they started developing or designing, their own chip. And then there are these places called chip foundries. For instance, Intel designs the chip and manufactures the chip, but this company like Taiwan Semiconductor, which is who Apple's getting their chips from, or even Samsung was doing it, where they are a foundry and the foundry makes the chip, but other people design the chips. So Apple started doing their own custom chips starting, and it really came to fruition with the 5S. The 5S was a very capable chip, and they were kind of keeping it at one point on the chart. The Intel chips, oh, I wish I had this chart. It was a great video I watched last night. As the trajectory of the Intel chips starts to plateau in speed, the ARM chips and the Apple Silicon chips for the phone are going up, and they're doubling every 18 months, which is Moore's law as far as speed. And at some point now, the A14X chip surpassed Intel as far as speed, and we're talking about big desktop machines. So it allowed Apple to make a variation of the chip that's in the iPhone, and they call it the M1, and it's the Apple Silicon, and it's a Mac chip is what it is, and it's what's in the newest MacBook Pro 13-inch, the MacBook Air, and the Mac Mini. And it's really interesting because it's super fast, but everything's inside the chip itself. It's called SoC, System on a Chip. And what that means is, where we used to have a chip and you used to have memory, RAM, and you used to have a graphics card, all that stuff is rolled into one. And the beauty of it is, its basis is the ARM chip, and it essentially comes from the phone. So these new computers run so cool that the MacBook Air doesn't even have a fan in it. The MacBook Pro does, and so far it's really hard to get it to turn on because the thing just runs cool. Because think about it, you've got the same chip in your phone, and your phone needs to be able to be in your pocket. So it's really amazing what they've done with this. And Big Sur is designed to run on the Intel chips of the current machines, pretty much 2014 or newer. And it's also designed to run on the M1. Now, one other thing with the M1 chip is, when we made that transition from PowerPC to Intel, there was Rosetta. Well, now what they have is it's very easy for designers or chip developers to develop their program, not chip developers, but application developers, to design it for the M1. But those that didn't make it over, they have Rosetta 2 now. So if it was designed for an Intel, it can run in the M1 with the Rosetta 2, which is a translation program. And in fact, the speed of this chip is so phenomenal that even on Rosetta, a non-native one, it runs faster than it does on the fastest Intel machine. So these are the prices. These are the regular prices on the starting price on the MacBook Air, MacBook Pro, and Mac Mini. And it should be mentioned that the RAM, your choice right now is 8 gigabytes or 16 gigabytes. And we think that in the, and the problem with these is, other than the Mac Mini can support 2 monitors. The MacBook Pro and the MacBook Air only support a single external monitor, but there's ways you can get, there are docks you can use to get it to support multiple monitors. One guy's got it to support up to 6. But we think that in the spring, there will be another version of the chip, whether they call it the M2 or whatever, that will support more RAM, but also will support multiple monitors. But this is their first shot out of the box. And again, people always say, never get the first year of a new car or a first year of a new computer. Well, the M1 chips have really been being done for a long time. The M1 chips have been, there's over 10 years worth of use in those chips with the iPhone. So it's really not a new chip in that regard. And the M1s do have to run Big Sur. If you're on an Intel machine, you have a choice whether you can do Big Sur or not. And I've played this before, but it's a quick little kind of push on the M1, and I think it's pretty cute.
Stop. Playing from Ken's MacBook Pro.
IVC. Is there time for questions? Good, because I have one. Why? Why make all these advancements? What's the point? Right? Oh, you're so quiet now. Look, I'm a machine. I'm proud of it. That's my fan. Longer battery life. Plug it in. Where are you going? Just plug it in. Fast. I'm fast. I'm still fast. Check it out. Still got it. PC. Still got it. I've always been there. I always will be. Fast. Okay. My battery's drained. I gotta go plug in. Good luck. Woo! Outlet!
So he said he needed an outlet. So anyway, oh, hang on here. That's weird. Let me fix that. Okay, I'm going to have to reshare my screen, it looks like. So hang on. Oh, come on. Well, this is why I say I don't want to pause it. Oh, come on. Sorry about that. Okay, let's go back. All righty. So that was John Hodgman from the old Mac, get a Mac, get a PC ads. And when he ran off stage there, you hear him say outlet because he needs to go and plug his laptop in. So anyway, Big Sur, we're going to go over, and I've got some videos from Apple that are quite good that show this. And I think Big Sur, for instance, on myself, I'm running it only because it's the only thing I can run on the new M1, and I'm running it through its paces, and it works well on that machine. But believe me, there are some quirks, there are some problems, but I really have a lot of hope for Big Sur. Mac OS 11, where Catalina even still has some warts on it. Big Sur has a few warts. It's a departure. I'm still not recommending either Catalina or Big Sur if you have a mission critical machine. There are some issues with mail, especially with Gmail and things like that. 90% of the people have no issues at all, but do you want to risk that as that risk reward as far as going newer? There are some features in Big Sur that's good. I still think it needs a little bit more maturing. I'd say probably within a month or so, they should have most of it worked out. But for right now, that's my recommendation. So stay away, but if you want to get one of the new machines, go for it. So what's that? Where's the next slide? All right, so now I'm going to go in and I'm going to go and got some, here we go, let's see. All right, so just some videos that I've got from the Apple support channel. I really encourage you guys to use this. You go to youtube.com and just do a search under Apple support. And these are all the videos, and they're wonderful, and they're just endless, and different things you can do, watch, and they're really categorized, and I really encourage you to spend some time there. But I'm going to just go a couple here, and since it's the new year, Apple Fitness is tied in with Apple Music, and they have some programs, and it's really almost like the Peloton kind of thing. And since people's New Year's resolution may be fitness, I figured I'd just highlight this a little bit.
Fitness Plus subscription, you can find the right workout for you. Open the Fitness app and tap the Fitness Plus tab to check out all the workouts and programs. To see workouts by type, scroll through the list at the top of the page. Let's tap Dance. To find just what you want, you can tap Filter, and then tap to choose a trainer, workout time, or style of music. Let's tap 20 minutes and hip hop R&B. Tap Done to see the results. Now tap a workout. For a sneak peek, you can tap Preview. If you're ready to get moving, tap Let's Go. Then tap Play on your iPhone or Apple Watch to start the workout.
Sorry about that.
3, 2, 1, go.
All right, so that's Apple Fitness. There's a trial on it that's free, but it's not personalized instruction, but you get curated instruction, and it is free for a little bit. And they have now taken Fitness Plus, and you can combine it with iCloud storage, all kinds of different things. I really encourage you to look at that, and it's very well done, and it's getting good reviews. Now, something I've just embarked on myself, and this is really kind of neat. In iOS 14, you have the option of doing what's called back tap. So this allows you to activate 2 different actions on your phone. So I'll show you this.
You can double or triple tap the back of your iPhone to perform an action. Here's how to set up back tap. In Settings, tap Accessibility, and then tap Touch. Now scroll all the way down and tap back tap. Tap double tap and choose an action from the list. Now you can tap firmly on the back of your iPhone to perform the action you chose. Tap, tap, done.
So again, what that is if you go in, so I use it, so you set double tap or single tap. And I'm going to show you that because I think this is pretty neat. Let me go ahead and share my.
No dominoes. You don't do the dominoes today. Yeah, it's not Marilyn McRae's group. No. Another one. Okay. Well, we're going to play today, right? I'm in a Zoom meeting. I'm learning something about the newest.
Can one of you co-hosts mute that mic, please?
I'll, as soon as I get.
Got it.
Thank you. Okay, so in the phone, you go into settings and you go down to accessibility. And then under accessibility, where'd it go? Come on.
It's right there. You went too far. Right there.
Under touch.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's under touch, assistive touch, and then you hit back tap. And what you assign, like for mine, if I double tap the back of my phone, it invokes Siri. Even though I can use the sleep wake button and hold it, and then triple tap, I can always get to my home screen. So I'll show you how that works on my phone. So I'm simply gonna tap the back twice. What time
And
is it?
I've found that with a
Hang on, Mary.
oh, because it won't work.
Hang on. So if I'm on, let's say, Safari and I triple tap, takes me to the home screen. So what's up, Mary?
Well, I tried it, but with the case on, it seems like it won't go through. It won't.
No,
pick up the tap.
it's not you touching the phone, it's the movement. You have to tap it hard enough to actually the phone feels movement.
Not working.
Is your phone laying down or in your
Oh,
hand?
there it came in. It was in my hand.
Yeah, it needs to be in your hand because it's actually the movement of the phone. It's using the accelerometer.
Well, thank you. That actually did work. I thought it was the case. So hopefully that'll clear it up for other folks too.
No. Okay. So let's go back here. All right. So another thing, since we're going to be doing with Big Sur, we're going to talk a little bit about your ability to use Sidecar, which I'll go through in a moment. But this is another new feature in iPad 11 if your iPad supports Apple Pencil. And some iPads support the original Apple Pencil, some support the newer Apple Pencil. But this is a little heads up, and Pete demonstrated it at the general meeting, and this is really, really cool.
Apple Pencil is as easy as a tap. Here are some helpful tips to use in your next note. First, let's create an instant note. To quickly create a new note, tap the lock screen of your compatible iPad with your Apple Pencil, and then you can start writing. Whatever you write or draw from here will automatically be saved in Notes. If you need help setting up your Apple Pencil and Instant Note, click on the articles in the description below to read more. Now let's check out some tools for customizing your notes. You can change the opacity or thickness of the tool you're using by tapping the pen icon to open the Tools menu, tapping the tool, and either tapping to select a different thickness, or moving the slider to make your markings more or less transparent. To choose a different color, you can tap one of the 5 defaults or tap the color picker on the right to select a different shade. Apple Pencil has some other useful features for iPad and Notes as well. For example, if you make a mistake, just double tap a finger on your Apple Pencil to switch to the eraser. You can also set this gesture to switch to the last tool you used instead of the eraser in Settings. Now let's say you need to find a note you wrote a while back. You can search for it using a word or phrase from that note, even if it's handwritten. To do this, tap the back arrow, then swipe down on the side menu to reveal the search field. Type what you're looking for, and the notes with that search term will show up below. Just tap to open a note, and you can give it a few finishing touches. Looking good. Now you can create colorful, useful notes on your iPad with Apple Pencil. For more helpful iPad tips, subscribe to the Apple Support channel or click a video to keep watching.
So the pencil again, and they're off and on, they're on sale sometimes, but I'll tell you, it really leverages the beautiful use of the iPad. Now, this is something, and Pete did Pages, and he may be starting to do Empower Mac again, but this is a new feature in Pages on iOS, and this is, I think, incredible. And hopefully you'll find some use out of this. And this is not just Big Sur, by the way.
Ready to give a talk, perform a monologue, or make a toast? Your iPhone or iPad can help. Just open your document in Pages and use presenter mode like this. In Pages, tap the More menu. Tap Presenter Mode. Tap the Text Styles button. To change the text size, tap the small a or large A. Now turn on Auto Scroll. And then just tap the document to start scrolling. Prepare, practice, present.
So if you're needing to give a presentation, you know how many times you may have to bring your iPhone up. If it's a memorial, whatever it is, it will work like a teleprompter and work for you. And I think that's fantastic. So, and again, you can obviously make the document on your Mac, sync it on iCloud, and have it go over there. So one feature of Catalina and Big Sur, regardless of which Mac you have, as long as you have a newer enough Mac that it will support it, and a new enough iPad that will support it. And because of Zoom and screen sharing, I have to use this video to show you how it works, because it will not work with the screen share of Zoom. So remember I told you the new M1 Macs are limited to one external display. Well, believe it or not, it's one external display and the iPad. So this is called Sidecar, and Sidecar is in your preferences, and it's really, really something neat. It allows you to be mobile. You can do this with a cable or by Wi-Fi. It's called Sidecar, and it allows you to have your iPad as a second monitor for your Mac.
Workspace by using your iPad as a second Mac display. Here's how with Sidecar for macOS Catalina and iPad OS. We'll show you how to connect your devices and how to navigate and use basic controls. Before you start, you should be running macOS Catalina on your Mac and iPad OS on your iPad. Also, sign into iCloud using the same Apple ID on both your iPad and your Mac, and make sure both devices have Bluetooth and Wi-Fi turned on. Sidecar is compatible with Mac computers released in 2016 or later, and Apple Pencil compatible iPad models. Now let's connect your devices. On your Mac.
So again, it's 2016 and newer on the Mac, and any iOS device that supports either the first generation or second generation Pencil. Now, when you're looking at this, think about this. Those of you that are artists or you're doing photo manipulation, there was a device that was made by Wacom that was called a Cintiq, and that actually displayed your screen on this tablet, and you would be able to use a stylus and adjust things. Sidecar brings that feature in where if you had a photo or a document you wanted to mark up or do things like that, you're actually viewing that document on the iPad, and you're using the pencil to do manipulations And that's actually, though, your input, because the document or the photo or whatever you're doing is on the Mac. It's not living on the iPad. The iPad is simply an input device like a drawing tablet, like a mouse, etc. So we'll go from there.
Your menu bar. You can also automatically connect your Mac and iPad using a compatible cable, as long as your iPad is a trusted device. Once connected, the sidecar icon will replace AirPlay in your Mac's menu bar. We're going to use our iPad as an extended display, but you can switch to a mirrored display by clicking the sidecar icon. You can
So extended display versus mirror display, or use a separate display. So mirror means that what shows up on the iPad is exactly what you see on your Mac screen. As a separate display, that's what we used to call it, or on the Mac, we call it extended desktop. So what happens is you essentially have two screens with different information on it. For instance, you could have your email up on your Mac, but you could be working in photos on the iPad, and they're side by side. So that's as separate display. And again, remember, this can be done over Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, or a cable. Cable's the best, but it still works very well on the others.
You're in the sidecar menu as well. When sidecar is active, you'll use your Mac trackpad or mouse to drag apps and documents over to the iPad display. You can also use your Apple Pencil to edit and mark up on your iPad. The sidebar on your iPad features an additional set of touch controls, which you can use to bring up your dock, keyboard, and more. You can tap the sidebar buttons with your finger or Apple Pencil. You can also quickly disconnect from Sidecar using the disconnect button. If the app you're working in has touch bar controls, you'll find a set of tools on the bottom of your iPad screen, even if your Mac does not have a touch bar. These tools will change depending on the app. Click or tap any of these buttons to activate that feature on your iPad. And that's how to get started with Sidecar. Now you'll have an extra display at the ready. For more productivity tips, subscribe to the Apple Support channel or click another video to keep watching.
Okay, so any questions on that? Because this is really compelling, and it would be one of the reasons to upgrade to Big Sur if you have a 2016 or newer Mac and a pencil supported. You have to have a pencil supported iPad, but you also have to have the pencil. So
can I have a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
You said it'll work on Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. So if that's true, then if I ask it to mirror my my desktop screen, then I can, anywhere I have Wi-Fi inside or outside my house, I can be seeing my screen if I mirror it. Is that
yeah,
right?
And I mistakenly said Bluetooth because I don't think Bluetooth has the bandwidth for it, but Bluetooth assists in that connection. But yes, if you have Wi-Fi, you can be somewhere else, and I mean, it's kind of like it's almost like, think of it, you're airplaying it back to the iPad.
Nice.
So your AirPlay, it's almost like doing an AirPlay display.
Oh, I got to check that out.
Yeah. And I'm not yet, when you do check it out, I'm not sure how it would do with audio.
Uh-huh.
So the other thing that this brings up is Big Sur and the M1 chip, the new computers with M1, because the chip is based on the same chip as in an iPad and an iPhone. It's very similar to the reason we could run Windows on an Intel chip, that you can run iOS devices or iOS apps on the M1 chip. Currently, the app developer has to say, oh, I don't mind if it's an iPad app, go ahead and play it on the M1. But there are ways to get it to run on it. But what you have to remember is iOS devices are touch-based, and they're not so much mouse based, a little bit more with iPad OS now with iPad OS 14, but you may run into troubles trying to run an iOS app on an M1 Mac, because the Macs, the interface is still a keyboard and a mouse, whereas on the iOS devices, it's all touch. So, all right, any other questions on that? And again, Al, if you can look at chat or see if anybody has any hand up, because in presentation mode, I don't see that. So actually, I do see participants. Joellen, I think you have 2 devices in your same house you just logged in from.
Right.
Yeah, so we're muting you.
Mute yourself.
You can't have 2 devices on with either microphone or speaker on 2 devices. That gives us that feedback. All right, let me do a quick check of chat here. Oh, great. Al's keeping up with the links on there. The pencil things, man, Al, that's just priceless what you're doing there. And he did put the back tap in there. Just looking to see. Yeah, and Mary put in, or Mary had about putting the pencil in. So there's some great links out there to that. So what devices use which pencil, etc. The new pencil, the Apple Pencil 2, you charge it by using the Smart Dock. The iPad itself charges it. The original pencil can be charged with a charging cable, use Lightning, or you can stick it in a really weird setup to the end of an iPad to charge it. All right, so there's some new stuff in messages that I thought was pretty compelling. So we've got this here.
Effects, pin conversations, and more, straight from messages on your Mac. Here's how. Let's start with customizing your group conversations with a name and photo. First, click Info, then click Change Group Name and Photo. Add a name by clicking the text field, and then type what you'd like. You can add a photo by choosing one from Photos or from another folder on your Mac. You can also pick an emoji. Add up to 2 initials, or choose from suggested emoji or Memoji. We're going to pick an emoji. Let's use this one. When you change the group name photo, it will update for everyone in the group.
So everybody has their own individual photo or Memoji, etc. But what happens here is this is a group. Let's say it was your golf group or a ski group or Mahjong group or something like that. The group itself will have its own identifier. And so the beauty of that is if you have a bunch of different group texts, then you go, oh yes, that's my Mahjong group or something like that. So that's what this does, but everybody still has on the periphery their own individual icons.
To 9 conversations to the top of your conversation list. Just press and hold the Control key and click a conversation, then click Pin. You can also add or remove a pinned conversation by dragging and dropping it. Want to respond to something from earlier in the conversation or directly to someone in a group chat? Press the Option key and click the message you want to respond to, and then click Reply. Need to get someone's attention? Try mentioning them. To mention a friend in a conversation, type their name as it appears in your contacts, then click their name, and click the contact card to confirm you want to mention them. Their name will appear highlighted in blue. When you send your message, they'll get a notification, even if they've muted the conversation. You can also use your favorite iMessage apps. Click the app drawer, And you can send a message with photos, emoji stickers, hashtag images if you'd like to add a GIF, and message effects. Just type your message, pick an effect, and click send. Hopefully that might help them remember to water the garden. And those are a few ways to use messages on your Mac. Now you're ready to start chatting with your friends. Want to learn more about your Mac? Subscribe to the Apple Support channel or click another video to keep watching.
Why go the long way?
So messages on your Mac is pretty compelling. And I would imagine a few of you probably have trouble getting your messages on your Mac to sync with your phone. And I find that there's one way that, and this has nothing to do with Big Sur, this is in general. So I'm going to show you what you have to do to make sure that any of the message conversations you're having on your phone goes to your iPad and to your Mac, Apple, your laptop or your desktop. So I'm going to do another share here. Hang on, I'm going to change my share to my phone. Okay, so on the phone, to make your Mac be able to look at your messages, what you need to do is on your phone, go down to settings and go down to messages. And it's a ways down, and tap messages. And what you have to do is go down here where it says text message forwarding. And you have to go to text message forwarding, and any device you want to carry on a message conversation needs to be turned on in green here. So I'll go back over that one more time. So on your phone, go to settings, messages, text message forwarding, and make sure those are on for any device you want to have mimic the conversation. And you have to do this too also to be able to send a message, a green text message, in other words, to someone who does not have iMessage. If they're on an Android, you have to be, this is the only way you can, from your Mac, get it to go to them. And what this is doing is the phone is the conduit to send that message for you. And you have to turn that on. The other thing you want to look at up here near the top is iMessage should be on, and under send and receive, start a new conversation, you almost inevitably want to have that be from your phone number. The receiving ones, you can highlight all of them, but start a new conversation, your phone number should be selected on that. And again, iMessage should be on. And while we're in here, send read receipts if you want that on. That just shows that someone read it. But you also do want to make sure send as SMS is on, and make sure MMS is on. And then, of course, there's those group settings that you may want. And let's see. Yeah, that's about it. Any questions on messages since we were there, whether it be on the Mac or the iPhone? Anybody? I can't see raised hands. Let's see. No raised hands. Feel free to unmute yourself and ask a question if you have any question on that. And don't ask me about emojis because I don't do them. Al's probably better at that than I am. Anybody? No questions. Okay, so everybody's messages must.
How do you forward a message to somebody else?
Yeah, what I do is I'll go to the message, for instance, and I'll just press and hold like here, and copy comes up, and I copy it and paste it in, but let's see if there's more. Yeah, see, I can just hit. So I prefer to take, and again, just press and hold. I'll copy it, and then I just composed and pasted in a message like it. But you do have another option here. If I press and hold right on that, I can go down here and click more, and then I could check however many of those I want, and then use the swooping arrow at the bottom, and then it's a new message. So now I could send this to Al, for instance. Oops, if I spell it right. And then it goes right. That's essentially a quote forward. It's not officially forwarding, but it does. That's, forwarding is in mail. This is in message. Does that satisfy you there, Rick?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Another question is, if you start in messages with a new message to somebody,
okay, I'm doing
how do you
that.
add a photo to that?
Can I add a photo to that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll just do this. Let's see, I'll put Al in here. And then when I start to tap on this, I hit test. Do you see the camera there on the left?
Yes.
That allows me to either take a photo, or in the upper right corner, upper left corner, I can go to my photos library and attach a photo from my photos library.
Oh, okay.
And then I would send that to Al. So that's a shot at the Awani. So again, what happens sometimes though, when you're doing a message, the camera may disappear on the left side and it will have a little caret. And you have to actually slide that over to, in fact, let's see if it does it this way. Nope, see, it's staying there now, but sometimes that camera disappears over there and you have to slide across where the little caret or the little V-shaped thing is.
Okay.
Okay. And okay, let's look here in chat. Oh, there, perfect. And Al's already got how to attach the photo to it. Thanks. How to forward messages. Perfect. Al, man, you are like a stenographer, for gosh sakes. So everybody, I got to say at the end of this, we have to remind everybody, you can save the chat and all of these links that Al has posted will be available on that. And that, awesome, Al. Great job. Everybody needs to give Al a virtual clap for that. Let's go back to new chair.
You have a couple hands up.
Oh, we do? Okay. All right, go ahead. The Ernestes, go ahead and ask your question. Unmute yourself.
Okay, hi. Yeah, since we have we've got messages, Messenger, and WhatsApp, is it useful to go back sometimes and just try to delete or you mute all the old videos and things? Are those using up a lot of space? Memory, I mean.
I can't speak to WhatsApp or the other. I don't know if they keep it, but it does take up room on your iPhone. So I'm going to show you what to do on that, because that's a great question, because that's one thing that shows up on a lot of people, that it's taking up room that they didn't know. And so if I go into, let's get the mirroring up again. So if I go into settings and so if I go in settings, I go to general, and then I click on iPhone storage. This will show you how much of your messages it's taking up. And I don't send a lot of videos, so I'm going down my list here. I'll use the search. Messages. Wow. some. Okay, so I did a recommendation. So here is one. So here are a couple that show up. Delete old conversations, and you'll notice it's the message bubble. So it'll remove my messages and attachments that were sent or received over a year ago, okay? But before you do that, I'm going to show you something in a second. And then here are review large attachments. Ironically, that's something we used to talk about aggressive racers on the racetrack, but we'll talk about large attachments later. Anyway, save. This would save if I wanted to review it and save them. So if I click that, it shows me these, like I have some videos and stuff here that I've messaged. I can go through and personally do one of those. Oh, here we go. So now it finally showed up. Here's my messages. So I'm using 8 gigabytes of my conversations, and I can go in there and I can see what's using it. But what I want to show you is if I go to a text message, for instance, this photo that I sent Al, let's say you want to clear your photos and videos out, but you do want to save specific ones, you know, the grandchild when they were 3 years old, something like that. If I press and hold on this image and I hit save, that's going to save it to my photos. So therefore, when I delete it from messages, it'll still be in my photos. So I encourage you, if there's anything in your text messages that you want to keep, like obviously this Merry Christmas thing, I don't need to keep that. So when I clear it, it'll do it. But let's say I wanted to keep this picture. I press and hold on the picture, and then I would save it, and that saves it to photos. And then at that point, you can go back into settings. And again, under settings, general, iPhone storage, and then I can go to messages and tell it to delete it. Now, another thing you can do that saves room on your phone for messages is if I go to your iCloud settings, and if I go and click on iCloud, you'll notice I don't have messages on my iCloud. But if I turn messages on, it works just like iCloud Library. And all those large files will be then stored on the cloud, taking up your cloud storage space. But it will then make it room on your phone, and it still shows up on your phone. But if you wanted to go look at that picture of your 3-year-old grandkid, you would simply tap on it and it would bring down the full picture. So it works just like iCloud Library. If you turn messages on in the cloud, it will expunge the big photos and the big videos from there, and it will leave you a thumbnail that you can still access, but they're not actively stored on the phone. Does that answer your question? I know there's a bunch of ways to do it. Oh, thumbs up, great. So anybody else, while I'm on that subject, is there, I know Berta will get you in a second. Is there any other questions on that messages? Because I know I went through it pretty quick. If anybody has, go ahead and unmute yourself or raise your hand.
Ken, suppose you didn't want to save a photo from a message, but you wanted to save a link and then delete the messages. What's a quick way to do that?
Well, a link.
In your notes.
Yeah, you could say perfect. Exactly. Was that Melissa? Whoever said that, you could copy and paste it and put it in notes, or activate it and save it as a bookmark in Safari. But a link doesn't necessarily, a link takes up virtually no room. So there'd be no reason to delete a link.
I was thinking if you wanted to just go through and clear the messages from that person, but one of the messages.
You don't need to clear messages. Messages themselves, the actual text or the links, take up virtually no room at all. Okay. You've got better things in life to try clear all that stuff out. And what will happen is when you're in messages, it won't show you oldest stuff, you have to scroll to it and it finally goes there. Don't knock yourself out with that, because the actual data in a text that's not a video and not a photo takes up no room at all.
Okay.
Any other questions before I get to Bert? Okay, go ahead, Bert. Ask your question.
Hi, Ken.
Hi,
Stars across
Happy
the
New
room.
Year.
Yes, you too. Just a question. I have an iPad which I purchased about a year and a half ago, and in one of the apps says messages, and once in a while I receive things from my grandkids or my daughter-in-law. I don't really know how to do that on an iPad. Can you just give a few basic remarks on that, please?
So you're talking about the messages, the green speech bubble, right? Not Messenger from Facebook, right?
Maybe it's Messenger.
Well, you would
It's a
determine
green-
it what it is. If it's messages, it's a green speech bubble. And then it's exactly the same as the phone.
Right.
If it's Messenger, it's part of Facebook and it's a whole separate thing.
Oh, okay. I just only prefer to have relatives on Facebook because to me, it's a waste of time.
Well, but I'm just
look-
saying, if they're getting a
Yeah.
message from you, you need to determine how you're getting it. And you would simply just reply to it. And most of the time it's up in your notifications. You can find it.
Oh, okay. I rarely use it. I just don't know enough about Facebook. Mainly it's the grandparent who wants the
No,
grandkid.
I'm not saying Facebook. Messenger is a separate app that's owned by Facebook, but it's a separate app. But you need to determine if they're sending you it as a messenger app or as, quote, a text message, which would be messages.
Oh, okay.
And messages
Right.
is just like on your phone.
Okay, thank you. I'll look for it. Thanks,
Great.
Ken.
Any other questions on messages? I know it gets a little confusing, and this definitely isn't what we just showed you on the on messages on the Mac is in the newer operating systems. So let's see here.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
On my my iPhone messages menu, I don't see the forwarding option. The text forwarding option.
Do you have
messages
iMessage on?
It's turned on, yes.
Okay, it's on your iPhone. Well, do you have a Mac?
I'm looking at a MacBook, yes.
Okay. So good. So what you may not have. So
I'm on iOS 13.
Yeah. You what?
I'm still on iOS 13. Is that the reason?
That shouldn't affect it. But go to your Mac.
Uh-huh.
And go up to the Apple logo and come down to System Preferences. Just like on my screen.
Got to minimize.
No, you don't have to do anything. Just get up to the Apple logo. It's in the upper left.
I'm looking at Finder. I guess I need to turn that off.
No, go to the Apple logo to the left of Finder.
Okay, got it.
Come down to System Preferences.
Yep.
In System Preferences, go to Internet Accounts.
Okay.
And is iCloud your first one listed?
Yes.
Tap it.
Uh-huh.
And does yours have a spot for messages? It may not.
No, don't see it.
Okay. Then do you have messages on your dock, the green
Yes.
speech bubble? Click on it. Go up to the word messages at the very top next to the
hold on a second. No, I'm not using. Yeah, it's a blue bubble.
Okay.
But,
depends on the OS you have.
Okay.
Click on it, and does it say messages to the right of the Apple logo?
Yes.
Go up to click on the word messages, come down to preferences. And is it saying you need to sign into your iCloud account?
No.
What's it say there?
Under general, I'm on the general tab.
Okay.
keep messages, application, message received sound, save,
Okay.
save received files.
And then what's the other tab?
Other tab is iMessage.
Okay, click on that.
Okay.
Is iMessage on?
Oh, it says signed out.
Yeah, so once you sign in, that's the problem. iCloud is your conduit for that. So you need to be signed into your Apple ID. And then at that point, you would go back to the phone and be able to turn on forwarding.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah,
Thanks.
you bet. Okay, that's a good question too. And because it's tough. There's all kinds of different things that can happen. So let's see here. Oh, this is, I wanted to play this one video. Let me see. Come on, where'd it go? Well, and Safari, so I'll show you on Safari. One nice thing about Safari is when I hover over these tabs, it shows me what the tab is behind it. You can see on the screen there, and that's very useful when you have a lot of tabs open. You can, very similar to your phone, you can do a customized start page. The tab design, which I just showed you. Translation is built in now with Siri, so you can translate an entire web page. It's amazing on that. Also, it does better password monitoring. It'll let you know what's up. This is a huge feature here. So let's go. If you look up at the menu bar, there's this little shield right up here at the top. And if you click that, it says this is not tracking at all. So let's awaken this. What the heck is that? Why is that doing that?
Sorry, I'm not sure about that.
Off. Okay, let's just happen to go to here. And now let's click on that link and it says, oh, wow. Didn't contact any trackers. I may have tracking off, but it's a nice way you can audit and it'll tell you if things are tracking. So I'm surprised that it doesn't. I'm not in incognito mode, I don't think. No. Anyway, that's surprising that we can get rid of that. But that's just a little place you can always run an audit and you can see what, like for ads and different things. Actually, let's go to, let's see here. So here's one. So see, it'll show double click ads is where trackings are. Let's find out if Amazon has anything. So that's just their ad system. So you're able to audit from just clicking on this little link here and then exposing it and saying what it's tracking. So if you're ever notorious, that's actually, let's try, let's see how. So all of these, look at all this stuff. You go to a Yahoo page, okay? Yahoo's terrible. It really puts a load on your brain. Look at all these different things just by going to their homepage. Let's try CNN. And here's all the ad tracking on CNN. So those are trackers, and that means these places can be monitoring where you go. So again, that's this little badge, this little shield up here. That's the privacy report for those websites. And you can always check it and see what you want. So going back to this. Safari, if you're going with the newer OSs, Mojave and newer, definitely use Safari. Chrome has been, it's, if your computer is very, very slow, I highly recommend deleting Chrome, but you have to do more than delete Chrome. I did this recently on my iMac and it made a huge difference. And let me see if I can go at, what is it? Delete. It was Chrome something. Chrome is bad. Chromeisbad.com. And while some of you need Chrome on older Macs to be able to view it, I have chosen to use one that works just like it called Vivaldi. Because Chrome tries to be too helpful, and it does some stuff behind the scenes. And I'm not saying it's nefarious, but what it does is it uses a tremendous amount of your computer resources, and the CPU just goes crazy. Even if Chrome is shut down, it still can use over 80% of your processor. And I've have a lot of clients that have had issues with their computer just running really slow. I highly recommend, Al, if you can paste that in the chat, chromeisbad.com, and you can go through this. All it's going to do is delete Chrome from your computer. You can always get it back if you have to, but you can use another Chrome type browser. Like, in fact, if you click here, click for instructions, you can go and it will show you what other browsers. Brave, Opera, or Vivaldi will work just for the same websites Chrome would. Now, if you're using Gmail, not in Apple Mail, in the browser, it will work in these too. But again, I'm not getting on Chrome because of their privacy. I'm getting on Chrome because it is really, really taxing many people's computers because they throw some stuff in there that doesn't need to be there. And again, it's trying to be helpful. So that's a revelation. And I did this 2 weeks ago, and my iMac is dramatically different. And I have a pretty high horsepower iMac. Let's go back to this. Messages on the Mac, you saw the video on that. That's completely enhanced. The pin conversations we talked about. Let's see. Yeah, emojis. I don't know if a lot of us are using them. They're pretty cool. I may just start to do them. Much better search in all your different characteristics as far as whether you're searching mail, searching messages, or searching the internet. And another really nice thing, and I'm going to fire this up, is the new Apple Maps. They not only they are improving the data on Apple Maps, they've improved Apple Maps. So if I go to Apple Maps here on this, I have this up. And what's interesting, my Siri suggestion is because the MacNexus workshop at the church is in my calendar, it goes and tries and finds that. But I want to go and show you some of the preferences. So if I go to Maps and Preferences, most of these are pretty good. You can say use large labels. So if you'll notice, that makes them a little bit, if you notice behind the scenes here, that street name can make it a little larger, a little more legible. But in the route planner, what's really neat here is you can choose to be preferred by transit, by walking, or by cycling. And if you choose cycling, the nice thing here is you can say avoid hills or avoid busy roads, and it customizes it. And I should say the same thing is in Google Maps now, and it's really quite beneficial. So in the transit default options, you can do that there. And there is an option coming if you have an electric car to do routing with electric charging stations, but it depends on your car. Since more and more people are having electric cars, I'm going to show you there's an incredible website that is really good, and it's called A Better Route Planner, and I'll show you that in a second because it's huge. Cycling routes, again, that's in the maps. This new look around, which is actual video of it. And the other thing is, like the malls and stuff, Apple is really embarked on indoor maps. But remember, you've got tons of privacy with Apple. Let's see here. HomeKit notifications. And here's where you can see if it can run it. So it's an iMac 2014 or later. This gives you the different models that are available. And this is all just at apple.com/, and it's weird, they put a dash between Big and Sur. So it's apple.com. Now, let me show you this one other thing I was talking about that's pretty amazing. So I'm going to open this. Actually, I'm going to open this in Vivaldi because I'm signed into my account. A Better. Now, I use this for my electric car routing, but I found that this is a fantastic app to just do different things with. So in here, it's not just Teslas, it's Audis, BMWs, Fiats, GMC, the Chevy Bolt, any of those. And even if you have just a plug-in hybrid, you can find out where the electric charging stations are. So let's just pick a Volkswagen, and we'll say the new ID4, let's say. So if I go here and I'm going to say, we're going to start in Lincoln, California. Oops, if I would spell it correctly. Lincoln, and then I'm going to go to, let's say, San Francisco. Boy, I am not typing well today. And so what this will do is it will route me through charging stations. And actually it may not need it on that car because it's not that far. So, but it would show you routing. And then here's all these public charging stations and things like that. You could click on that and gives you the information about it, and you could add it as a waypoint. So this is a fantastic app. I've told Tesla people about it for a long time, but as there are more and more electric cars out now, this is very, very beneficial and specific to your car. And it's A Better Route Planner. Okay. All right. So getting back to I do want to point out that there are enhanced accessibility features in both Catalina and Big Sur. So if you've got some motor control issues, you can completely run iOS 14, Mac, the iPad OS, and your Mac without ever having to touch a mouse. You can do everything by voice. And that accessibility stuff has just been, it's Apple finally, even on their website, they featured it the other day, and it's really amazing. So if you know anybody in a situation like that, that can help dramatically. You know, sometimes stroke victims, they have trouble with their motor skills and things like that. So again, my philosophy on Big Sur right now is I've got it. There's some warts I've had to deal with to get it up and running, but the only reason I'm running it is because I really wanted to test out the new Mac. The new Mac is fantastic. The MacBook Air and the MacBook Pro and the Mac Mini are just fantastic. They're super fast. They just are blowing everything out of the water on that. But if it wasn't for that, the experience I've had with Big Sur is a little bit discouraging because there are some issues, especially when you're doing things like this, trying to look at my speakers and my microphones and all that kind of stuff was being weird and things like that. So I still think that Big Sur needs to get another iteration of the update. And let's see what we're on. We're on 11.1. And they usually say when they get to the 0.1, it's pretty good. And I have not encountered many people with deal stopping problems on it yet, but it just doesn't mean that you won't. And my feeling is the grass is always greener, but at some point you have to mow the lawn and you have to kill the weeds. So don't think that grass is always greener. Luckily, I've had some time to go over and kind of fix any of the little maladies that happen. Bert, you had a question, or go ahead?
Yes, I had to unmute. Real quick question. Somebody from a text group of mine was recommending DuckDuckGo. I don't know if that's an app or a site, but if one has that, I think you're pretty anonymous to all of the ad creating machines.
Yeah, well, yeah. So, and so DuckDuckGo. So first of all, don't use Yahoo search because it's the worst search there is. This is the search for your browser. Many of you, when you got AT&T installed, that put it in and all that. Google constantly tweaks their algorithms, but the Google search is by far the best, but it does do a little bit of tracking. It does some ads and things like that. But remember, you're getting free search, so you're paying for the ads kind of thing that way. Bing, I don't find very good search at all, but DuckDuckGo is another search. And I'm going to show you how you can make it be your regular one. But just like you would go to google.com, you just simply go to duck, and it automatically fills in. And right there, I've got what looks like a Google search, but now instead of Google, I'm DuckDuckGo. So I can say, and I always use this, best apple pie recipe. And I hit return. And you get the same thing as if you did a Google search. So DuckDuckGo is quite good, and you have some anonymity, and they're keeping it private. Now let's do this, find this thing, no trackers, right? So let's go to google.com. Oops, hang on here. So I don't have to type this. If we go to google.com and I type in best apple pie recipe and hit return, I'm only getting double click tracking at that point. But in your browser, when you type in at the very top here, it's going to go to whoever you determine is your search criteria. So if I go up to the word Safari and come down to preferences, when I go to search, I can choose who I want to use. So we'll talk about these. Google is really good about getting you the information you want. Yahoo, as we saw, does a ton of tracking. And unfortunately, like if you were searching for Hewlett-Packard printer support, there are going to be people that pay for ads up there that are trying to harvest your credit card that aren't really HP, and they're going to want to try fake you and share your screen and do all that. Bing is Microsoft. It's okay, but you could choose DuckDuckGo to be your default search, or Ecosia. Ecosia is a private search, and Ecosia, because anytime you use someone's search, they're getting revenue from the ads that are generated on the side. Like if you say, show me the Chevy dealers, it's going to come up and show you Sacramento Chevy dealers. So if you change it to DuckDuckGo or Ecosia, they're still going to make some money on that. But Ecosia goes and plants a tree. The revenue they generate goes out and plants trees. So they're socially aware on that, and I think it's kind of neat. But DuckDuckGo is very popular, and you have much better privacy. Ecosia pretty much the same. So if I change it to DuckDuckGo, now when I put up in here best apple pie recipe, you'll notice instead of going to Google, it went to DuckDuckGo. So you can go to duckduckgo.com, or you can make it your search. And by the way, you can do the same thing on your iPhone and your iPad. So these are other alternatives. And if sometime you get in a little bit of a pickle and you don't get the results you want, you can always go to Google as a secondary. Did that answer your question, Bert? And
Yes, thank you, Ken.
and any other questions on that? Because that's very good and that's important. And you want to, we're on Apple products, so we know we're pretty darn safe to stuff. And our privacy is really, really secured, and Apple doesn't need to do their own search. So, but I think DuckDuckGo is very good.
Ken, I have a second comment. This is Bert still talking.
Yeah.
When we talk about security, should we be having Norton as a service for our security? What is your opinion on that?
No.
Thanks.
So sometimes you'll get stuff like that for free, and then they want to have you subscribe the next year and things like that. Your Apple is pretty well locked down. The only, it all is a matter of peace of mind, but I find that many of those programs run behind the scenes and slow your computer down. And you definitely never ever want to have MacKeeper. That says it'll make, it'll cook the bread for you and stuff, but it's terrible. But if you're judicious and you keep your software updated, even like Mojave is 3 years old now, but it's, as long as you keep it updated, they're going to watch out for security things. I don't run any, and knock on wood, I've never had any issues. I do think that you need to run Malwarebytes every so often. Actually, this brings up a good point. So many times people get infected, and it's not really malware. It's called adware, where they hijack your browser. Anytime you get that stuff, it's totally fake. Restart the computer. If it says, don't shut this window, it'll do this, it'll do that. But you can always run Malwarebytes is a program, and you can use the free version and see if there's anything there. But the other big thing is when people went to certain websites, it would pop up and say, you need Adobe Flash Player. Well, you might have had Adobe Flash Player installed already, and it was doing that because it works like the Trojan horse. What happens is it will put other software in, and when you think you're installing Adobe Flash, yes, you were installing Adobe Flash, but it puts a whole bunch of other stuff in there, and Malwarebytes will find that. Well, as of December 31st, there is no such thing as Adobe Flash anymore. So anytime you get that message, it's fake. If you do get a message saying okay to uninstall it, you can do that, because Adobe Flash is what the internet used to play videos on. Anytime, like a Jackie Lawson card, you had to use Flash. Well, now web designers have finally gotten smart enough. Those videos are played inside the browser, and they're using what's called HTML5. So Adobe Flash is no longer needed. And in fact, especially on the PC, but possibly on the Mac, there were possible vulnerabilities in Adobe Flash. So Adobe ceased it. It's gone as of 2 days ago. There's no more Adobe Flash. And thank goodness there isn't. I would say Adobe Flash is kind of like 2020 itself. It's good riddance. I'm glad we're over it. So,
Hey, Ken?
Yep.
Going back to the searches, you said you could change the search function on the iOS devices too.
Yeah.
How would you do that?
I'll show you. Let me pull up my iPhone. So let's do a new share. Okay. So if you go into settings on your phone and go down to Safari, and under Safari, the second item says search engine, and there's your same choices. So again, I'll go through that slower. So go to settings, the gray gear, and in settings, scroll down like 20, 30 items almost to Safari, tap Safari and search engine. Okay. The other
Mine
thing I
doesn't
should mention
say
here is,
Ecosia.
what's that?
Doesn't say Ecosia.
It does on mine.
Doesn't on mine.
Then you're probably not on iOS 14.
Ken, this is Lisa. I'm on iOS 14 on a 11 phone, and same thing. Ecosia will not show up on my iPhone or on my iPad.
Go back and go to settings and go to general and go to about and tell me what version of the software you're running.
I'm on, well, for the iPad, I'm on OS 14.3.
Oh, that's interesting.
And actually I went to the Ecosia website and it said add Ecosia to Safari. And I did that. I was on my iPad and what came up next was not compatible with this device.
That's weird.
And my iPad, I bought literally 12/30/19. So
Al and Bob, what do you guys, any of you having? That's weird.
Ecosia's on my phone. Let me look at the iPad.
Yeah, let me look at my iPad.
what versions of phones do you have?
I'm on 14.3.
I have 14.3.
Okay.
Me too.
Well, son of a gun. I'm on 14.3 on my iPhone also.
Okay, it shows up on my iPad mini. Yeah, that's weird. So I would recommend possibly doing a hard reset, but DuckDuckGo is fine, but and but the default one is nicer on there, but you can always go to Ecosia. I don't know if it's org or .com, but you can, just like you would go to google.com.
Yeah. That was just weird that like I said, on the Ecosia website, when I punched all the buttons, it just said, nope, not compatible.
Yeah, now that's really weird. And you're on an iPhone 11?
Yes.
Wow. Well, that'll take a little bit more checking. So
yeah,
but I'm glad that came up because it's nice to have those options for search. So
yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Mary, you've got a question?
Yes, but it's on the applications. I haven't upgraded. I've got 10. I've got Mojave, and when I went to see if the 32-bit, which 32-bit applications I have, some old Microsoft came up. Well, I now do the subscription to Microsoft Office. Can I delete those?
Let's, Mary, before I answer that, let's go in and let's just show people. I want to show them how, because if you're on Mojave, or if you're thinking about upgrading to Catalina or Big Sur, I'm going to show you what you do. So you go up to the Apple logo, come down to About This Mac, and then you go to Overview, or sorry, System Report. And when you click at System Report, you come on all the way down here to Applications under Software. And since I did not bring in any of my applications, I should be all 64-bit here. So what it is prior to Catalina and Big Sur, the computers could have 32-bit or 64-bit programs. And this would show you so look at this. I still even have some here on this. So, and what you can do is if you click on this header, it'll sort by that. So That's weird that I have some in here because I didn't migrate. That's really weird. Oh, wait,
I'm
did
really
I
glad you're
migrate?
doing this because I'm thinking, maybe like when I get a new computer, I don't want to drag all those over 32 bits
Yeah,
over.
most of these don't have any really big issues with that. So if it's a universal or an Intel, it does it, but it's 32 bits that won't. Well, if I were to run this on my iMac, I would have so much in here that's 32 bit. But 32 bits, while I told you Rosetta 2 will emulate the previous chip for the M1s, neither Catalina nor Big Sur will run 32-bit programs. And 32-bit programs, I mean, look at the dates on some of these. These were last updated in 2013 and things like that. So what happens is you may have some little tentacles of that Microsoft Office still on there. And for the most part, you don't necessarily have to worry about those.
But can
There
you
are
just
some ways to
delete
do
them?
what's called a clean install, and that's what I recommend. And what's funny is I did a clean install and it shows that I've got these. And it could be that these things are on my external drive. Let me see if it'll let me show you where it is.
Oh, so as an
Oh no, see, this
example,
is
if
my
you,
aluminum wireless keyboard firmware update. And for some reason it's on there. And I don't know why it would be. Somehow it came over somehow.
so you can't just go through and delete all of those,
You
can
could,
you?
but why?
Well,
If you're really that bored,
no,
we're
it
not going
just
to run
seems
anyway,
like,
so it doesn't do it. But yeah, you could. In fact, if you look down here at the bottom, this is the path to where they are. It's in applications, and it's a firmware update, and
Well, and most of them are just text files anyway.
yeah, and they're
Well, they
not
don't take that
big. Let
much
me see if
space.
there's an info. Nope, that doesn't do it. But yeah, they're just teeny.
it just feels like you're dragging old stuff to the new one, and I'd rather not, but if it doesn't matter, I guess that's one thing. But
No, and like I said, I'm surprised that's there, and I did a complete clean install. So that may just be some legacy code left in there, but I don't really see a problem with it. So
okay, thank you.
you bet. Randy, go right ahead.
I think I found out why that Akosha was not showing up with
Great.
people, including the 14.3. It's because on mine, but it may, results may vary, but on the browser, you need to go back to the browser where there's two choices, Chrome and Safari. When I only had the Chrome browser selected, Akosha does not show up. But when I changed it to browser Safari on the iPhone, now I have all five. Yeah. So it
Well,
could
that's
be just,
interesting. Now, where was that first setting for browser?
okay, I'm going to get off of search engine and go back.
Hang on one sec. I'll bring my screen up. Because I have Chrome, but I never have it on.
And that's why.
And when I talked bad about Chrome on the computer, Chrome on your iOS device is not that bad. Okay, it's coming up. There we go. Okay, so go down to Safari.
Yes, when you want it, you have to find browser choices. It offers two.
Where is that though?
Yeah, where is that? Now that I switch back to Safari, I can't find it. But that could be what is happening because I have the iPhone 12 on iPhone 14.3. But for browser, you need to change from Chrome to Safari. But now I can't find, geez. But that's how I remedied that.
Here we go.
Oh.
So I went to Chrome And under Chrome, there's default browser app. Randy?
Yes,
Try
that should be it. So
setting, and then go down to Chrome. And I just used the search at the top. So it's only if you have an additional browser, would you be able to do that? And I didn't have Chrome as my default.
There it is.
So Chrome right there. So there's the chance. So they have DuckDuckGo as actually a browser, but you don't want to do that. So you should have on your iOS device, you absolutely should have your default browser be Safari. If you do not have anything besides Safari, you should have Acacia. Now, Lisa, what's your situation since you couldn't find Ecosia? Do you have Chrome on your?
I have Chrome on both my iPad and my iPhone. So I did that. I went to settings, I went to Chrome, and I just bounced out. And there where it says default browser app, I've got Safari. It's telling me Safari, but I pushed it. I have Safari checked, and then I have Chrome. Now what do I do?
You have Safari checked. Just hit Chrome in the upper left. Then tap settings in the upper left.
Wait a minute. I'm lost.
You were in Chrome, right? And you were in default browser. You're in this screen like mine?
Yeah. Yes, I am.
Just hit the blue Chrome in the upper left.
Okay.
And what does it say for your default browser?
Safari.
Great. So then hit the blue settings in the upper left.
Got it.
And then now go up a ways to Safari because it will be in the top Apple stuff.
Got
when
it.
you tap Safari and
Yeah.
tap search engine, what happens?
Ecosia does not show. I've got Google, Yahoo.
You may have to do a hard reset.
But it was my system was already set when we went through that. When I got to it the first time, it already showed Safari.
Oh, it did. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
this one's a mystery. So I think we'll move on. Sorry, but that's
No,
interesting.
that's okay. Happy to have a mystery.
Yeah, I don't know. Ellie, go right ahead. You need to unmute.
I just want to make sure that we get the information on how to save the chat and all Al's links.
Oh, you bet. Let's show that right now. So let me unshare here. So you guys, if you're on a Mac, at the very bottom under, you should see a chat speech bubble. Tap that, and then you should have a chat window. In that chat window, at the, boy, where is it?
At the bottom.
Yeah, but.
On mine, it's the 3 dots.
Yeah, the ellipses, 3 dots.
The ellipses.
Under.
At the bottom, you have the ellipsis.
On the chat window or on the
chat?
On the chat window.
Yeah, I see more.
I see it.
And
You
it's
should
supposed
have.
to say save.
And the ellipsis, the first thing is save chat.
Oh, now that I've got pop out, hang on here. Wow, I don't have save chat. But anyway, that's what you want to do is hit save chat.
Got it.
I think
find
mine does it
there.
automatically because I'm the host, if I'm not mistaken. So, oh, wow. I can disable waiting room there. Sweet.
It might be because you're recording also.
Yeah.
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 Okay, so anyway, that's where you do it. And it'll show up as a text file, and then that text file has clickable links. So hang on one sec. Oh, wait, that's the darn participant screen. Hang on. Oh, because I was one on top. Yeah, my ellipsis is there. Sorry. Okay, so Ron, you have a question?
Yeah, just a quick one. I'm in a group on Zoom, and one of the people on it uses a Chromebook, and the sound is awful. It's really loud, louder than everybody else. And I'm just wondering if you know anything about how to fix that.
No, and the thing would be is they may have to get a webcam or something like that going inherently. I mean, the Chromebooks are a little different, and of course there's different quality of Chromebooks. A Chromebook isn't just a Chromebook. There's all kinds of different ones. So, boy, I don't know. On the Mac, obviously, you can go into settings and you could turn the modulation down a little bit, but I don't know.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Greg and Cynthia, go ahead and ask your question.
I'm curious where you got the background for your Zoom screen there.
What background?
The word wouldn't let him out.
Actually, I did it came about because I saw someplace somewhere. Oh no, a podcaster I saw had the Seinfeld one, so it was this one. And so it put me on a search, and it was at Vandelay, because if you're a Seinfeld thing, you remember Vandelay Industries. I was looking for this one, and of course I found this one, and then I found some others like this. And this one I really like because now I'm on the chairlift.
Oh,
So,
I like that.
Yeah, and then of course Wheel of Fortune. Anyway, yeah, it was Vandelay something. I just did a Seinfeld thing. If you email me, I'll try to find the link for you. But it was, or just look, yeah, it's out there. Just say, Zoom background prison cell or something like that.
Okay, will do. Thank you.
You bet. Mr. Charles Murphy, go right ahead. Unmute yourself. You can hold your space bar down to unmute yourself or hit the mute button.
Sorry.
That's okay.
When you save the chat, where does it go?
I can't remember if it asks you where you want it to go or.
It just said save file.
Yeah, save file. And then when you hit save file, it may put it into a Zoom box, or it may give you a second choice on where to put it then. Hang on. I'm going to look.
When you hit save file or save chat, for about 2 seconds, right next to it, it says show in Finder. And if you click on that very quickly, it will open up the Finder window where it is. But you have to do it right after you click on save
Yeah,
chat.
I'm going to look. Karen, did it go into your downloads?
No, it actually, just a minute here, I'll do it again.
What documents?
Oh, it's documents in a Zoom folder, but I'm not positive that happens.
Mine was in an iCloud, in my iCloud Drive document folder. And it's a Zoom folder.
And a related question, do you have to do that at the end of the chat to collect all the information, or can you do it anytime during the chat?
At the end.
Yeah, you have to do it at the end because any new messages wouldn't be there. And that's the thing is, and also if you come in late, it doesn't always have that. So I'm looking over those you guys that have been open on the chat do I have any other? So it looks like somebody even linked kind of a message, the thing in there. It's only like a 9 kilobyte file, which is
really
crazy.
small.
Oh, and Al has the link for how to save chat in the Zoom. Looking for any other. Al looks like he's been monitoring the chat. Oh, let's see, Margan. Oh, okay, no problem. Yeah, as Margan said, if you come in late, you don't get what's there already. So that's a bit of a problem. But I believe that Al's been saving the chat usually, and you get it to Bob to send out in the email, don't you guys?
Oh, that's the main meeting.
Oh, that's for the main meeting. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we can look,
Sure,
it'd
what
be a
the-
nice way if they could automate that to a website or something. So let's see here. Any other questions? Nobody else? Oh, we do. Randy, you got your question, your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, this was brought up earlier at the beginning of the meeting, and it has to do with the graphic that you showed with the Apple Watch, the Fitness Plus, but also it may be that you said coming out, the Fitness Plus is coming out in spring. It's not out because I do subscribe.
No, it's out.
I can't find it either at the App Store or on my iPhone.
Well, actually, when we were looking at settings, so let's, I'll share my screen again because I just saw this for the first time.
Okay.
So I'm going to share my iPhone because I was blown away and I just saw it. And I'm signing up this afternoon. So when I go into right here, look at this right in my settings, right below iCloud. Apple Fitness Plus, subscribe free for 3 months. So it might be in your phone settings.
Well, I have a receipt. I did pay for it at the 29 whatever dollars a month.
So you got the full package, yeah.
Full package, but I don't have the little target map. I have the Apple TV Plus, but I don't know where to go to download. It's not in the app.
Do you have the Apple Watch?
No, I thought it was available on iPhone from this morning. Oh, see, that's what I'm looking for. That one right there, fitness.
Yeah, so let's talk about how we search on the phone. You bring the phone up and you go right in the center and pull down, and that gives you this search menu.
Okay, I have that.
And then I just started typing fitness, and there it is. Now, Fitness Plus is at the bottom there. Do you see it, Randy? On my screen below the little guy that's walking, there's Fitness Plus right in the center.
Okay. Oh, yes. Okay, there it is. There it is. So.
And then from my Apple Watch, because this is really handy, I have, well, that's on my complication there is the fitness app. I just tap that right there and let's see. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it remembers my most recent, because I use an app to track my skiing and it brings it up there. So that should be able to get you there. If not, I'd Google it, but I'll know this afternoon because I'm going to activate everything.
Okay, great. I'll try again. It's either it got deleted by accident or whatever.
Yeah, well, the actual fitness app doesn't show up on your phone?
No.
Oh, but then you can go to the App Store and look for it. So if you go to here,
it's not
fitness.
I go to App Store.
You may have to do a reboot.
Okay, will do. Thanks.
So there's fitness, and see it shows up, and mine shows that it's there.
And see, yours says open.
Playing from Ken's MacBook Pro.
Well, the reason it shows it open, but if it's not there, it would show a little download icon, cloud icon.
Okay, I'll try again. Thanks,
Are
Ken.
you in the search on your phone?
Yes.
And you've put in just the word fitness. Don't pick from any of the menu, just the word fitness and hit the word
Just the word
search.
fitness is there, yes.
And tap the one with the rainbow colored circles.
It's, yeah, unfortunately, it's just lines on mine, or just.
No, but just hit search in the lower right.
Yeah, I did.
Wow, that's weird.
Yeah.
I'd reboot.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Andy, reach out to me if that doesn't work.
Will do.
Mr. McMahon, go ahead, Keith. Need to unmute. There you go.
Yeah. So I'm interested in upgrading my desktop iMac to this new Apple Silicon. Do you have
Yeah.
any idea when that Apple Silicon will be available on desktop computers?
No, but indications are it'll be first or second quarter.
Of 2021?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And the Mac Mini is pretty good, but I think for what you do and stuff, I needed a newer laptop, so I went there, and I'm trying to make my laptop so I don't have to use my iMac because my iMac's a 2012. But I think in your situation, a new iMac with that would do well.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Can be about other topics, and let me look at chat real quick.
Like that background.
Yeah. Mary, go right ahead.
Okay, and I just tried to buy an Apple Pencil, and I tried to use Apple Pay, and when it said tap your watch, it wouldn't go through. So what's going on with that?
Well, usually on your watch, you tap the oval buttons on the side. Did it show up on your watch to say pay?
It did, and it said tap. I did, and nothing happened.
Did you tap the face or the elliptical button on the side?
The button on the side.
Twice?
Yep.
Yeah.
I've had
maybe 4 or 6 times actually, but yeah.
Oh, well, that's, it has to be an even number. No. Just try do it again.
Yeah. Sometimes it's a little sluggish. I have the same situation.
Yeah.
And do 2 times, and then if it doesn't respond, give it a couple seconds and do it again.
And with your phone, make sure your phone's unlocked, and maybe it'll come up there too. And I think
I'll give it a try.
You can do that setting somewhere in there. So.
Well, that's what I was wondering. I had Googled it and tried to figure it out, but it wasn't showing up easy, because this is the second time it's happened for me.
And one way you might force it to your phone is if you take your watch off, your watch should lock. So therefore it'll probably try to do it on your phone.
Okay, I'll try that.
And if worse comes to worse, turn
you.
the watch off. Joellen, go ahead with your question.
Okay, well, 2 things. I wondered if Randy can't get that Fitness Plus because it says the app is powered by Apple Watch, and Randy said he doesn't have an Apple Watch.
No, but the fitness app should still be on the phone because it does itself. And by the way, I have noticed that the health app now gets my Kaiser information, which is really cool.
Yeah.
My tests. It hadn't for a long time, and they finally did that.
Right.
So
my actual question is, I have a frightening number of unread emails in my mail account. Is there a fast way to delete all unread email?
Yeah. So what you could do is, and you're on the Mac.
Yeah.
So let me go and share my screen again. And you'll see a much larger than your frightening number.
I don't know. Mine's 64,000.
Oh, that's pittance. I'm 343,000, 268,000 unread.
Oh, wow.
So now do you feel
then I
better?
shouldn't worry about it, I guess. Huh?
Do you feel better now?
I do.
Okay. So let's see. I'm trying to think, because on the iOS, there's a filter button. And does anybody know where right here. So you see where it says all inboxes and you see filter?
Yeah.
If you click filter, it's filtering by unread. So now it only shows my 237,220 unread messages. So now I could click on the first message and hit Command A or select all and then delete them.
Ah.
You asked it.
Okay.
So what, again, the first step was to filter it to show only the unreads.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, you can then highlight it and does it, or you can do each specific box.
Great. Okay.
Okay. So now, and did I make you feel better?
Yeah, it absolutely did. I mean, I'm just so embarrassed every time somebody notices that. But
I declared email
that
bankruptcy a long time ago.
Uh-huh.
Karen, go ahead. Oh, I know Karen, and I'll bet you she probably has 0 inbox, and I applaud that, but.
Close to it.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah,
a
and so
question.
would it be the same process on the iPhone too, to,
Yeah, on the iPhone, there's just a little thing where it says filter. The problem is to try select all the apps. So I would do it on your Mac. It's the best.
okay, great, thank you.
Karen, go ahead.
Would you go back to the health app on your phone and your Kaiser info?
Yeah.
What did you mean by that?
Well, it's hang on. So, and by the way, unfortunately, somebody else had their hand up. Raise your hand again. I mistakenly put your hand down. So whoever that was, you can go ahead and put your hand back up.
It's me, Lena.
Okay, hang on. I was trying to lower Karen's hand and that's what I got, so. So if I go into the health app, my lab results and everything are showing here now.
Okay, now how did you add Kaiser there?
Well, you know, what's funny is I think I did it a long time ago and then it just finally started showing up. And let me see if it was in.
My Dignity Health and Quest Diagnostics also populate on my health app these days.
So health records, there it is, Karen. Go to settings, health, and then health records, and then Kaiser.
Wait a minute, I'm in settings, health.
Yeah.
Oh, I see health details, but I don't see health records.
Do you have data and access devices?
Yes.
I don't know if that needs to be on. Let me look. I have all that on.
Where I have a million old watches and everything else.
Yeah. Do you have the Kaiser app on your phone?
I do.
Interesting.
Huh, okay, I'll do some Googling and see.
Yeah, that's weird because I think I activated it a long time ago and then all of a sudden it just started showing up. But you don't have one that says health records or data access and devices.
I see data access and devices, and it lists a bunch of apps, and then it says research studies, none, and then devices. And it's interesting, it has every watch I've ever owned.
I know, I'm looking through that, my God.
Yeah, same as you have.
I have more than I've ever owned, because that's also because that keeps your record for a long time. But wow, you got me on that because I'm looking, and what's funny is I don't see Kaiser in my apps list. Yeah,
Okay,
I don't know.
I'll do some Googling and see if I can find it.
Okay. And who was the other person that had their hand up?
There, Al already put something in chat.
Oh, good. So you guys are going to have to resave chat again when we're all done here in about 2 minutes. So someone, I put your hand down and I don't know who it was. If you have a
question. It's Lena. Lena.
Okay, go ahead.
My question is in Mail, Safari Mail on my computer, I have put everything, you know, on the sidebar. They have the thing on my Mac. I have all this stuff stored in there.
Why?
Well, that's the good question. I started and never stopped. So how can I transfer that someplace else without losing it?
That's okay. So that's a very good point. So you can have things stored, whether they be notes, whether they be email, on my Mac or on my phone or on my iPad, but then that device becomes an island. That's the only place it's stored because it physically says that. That used to be the way when we used to sync using the iTunes and a cable and everything. But now you're better off having it. Who is your email provider?
Sonic.net.
You don't have a Gmail or an iCloud?
I don't use iCloud. I have a Gmail account. I prefer not to use it
Why?
just because.
Well, if you want, I mean,
So, well, tell me what,
but then you have Sonic. Well, oh, you're using Sonic, so Sonic's actually pretty good. But I think there's a huge flaw in having your internet provider be your only main email service, because what happens, even Sonic is very good. What if you need to leave them at some point? If Bob and Joe's internet comes along for 8 times the speed for one-fifth of the cost, why wouldn't you jump into that? And the problem is, no, you're tied into Sonic.net's email. So,
well, I have both. I have Gmail and I have Sonic.
right. So what you should never have your internet provider be your main source of your email, because you're not a free agent at that point.
Okay, I'm not really completely following that. So
Well, so what happens? So Sonic, you're in the Bay Area, I assume,
no, I'm here in Sacramento.
and you have Sonic.net?
Yeah, because I started off in with them a long time ago and I liked them and they
But is that who you're paying to get your internet with?
Correct.
Okay, so let's say you move, I'll give you an example. When I lived in Rancho Cordova, I had Comcast Xfinity. When I moved to Sun City, they don't have Comcast, they have Wave up here. So if Comcast was my only source of email, I would lose that email when I'm no longer a customer of theirs. So if let's say, let's say I live here in Sun City and I have to go into assisted living, or I go into a rehab for 2 months for physical malady and they don't have Wave, if I'm attached to Wave and I stop using that service, they're no longer going to provide me email. So you should always have an email. Your main email should be independent of your internet service provider, because they could get sold. I've just seen too many things happen. Back in the old day with AT&T broadband, which was kind of Comcast and kind of this, they switched their name 4 different times and everybody had to change their email every single time, even though it was still the same company. So don't do that. You need to be on with Apple's iCloud. You can be on with Gmail. You can use Proton Mail, which is very secure. One of those that's completely independent of your internet provider. That being said, Sonic has probably got good email. I haven't used theirs because I can't get it. But what you would do is, for your stuff that's in your On My Mac folder, you take, let's say it's travel plans. You have a folder in there in On My Mac that says travel plans. If you drag that folder up to under your email provider, it will then store those on their server, and you'll be able to get that with all your devices rather than On My Mac just having it on My Mac.
Okay, by the way, I've had that Sonic thing forever and I used to just pay separately for it. I've had it for over 25 years before I even had them as a server.
Oh, so they do have.
So they're separate. They have a way that you can keep their things separate.
That's good. And Sonic is a very good company. I mean, I'll tell you, Sonic's very good internet, and I just don't know anything about their email. So yes, as long as you have an option of, as long as you have the option of the email being independent from the service, then that's no problem.
Okay, thank you. So I need to connect this to iCloud or something else.
No. You might be able to do it on you just want to make sure that your Sonic is what's called IMAP. If it's IMAP, then it'll show up on all your devices and you can use Sonic. Do they limit the amount of mail you can do?
No.
Okay. Yeah, then you can, if you like the Sonic, go with that. For me, what I would do in this case is, because you may or may not want all those things everywhere, I'd create a new account, whether it be with Apple or with Gmail, and move it that way. And then you get 15 gigabytes for free. And then if you decide you want that stuff in your other account, you can do it. But yeah, you would simply, and you got to do them kind of one at a time, and they take a while, because what happens is when you move that folder that says, let's say you got 20 items in a travel folder, when you move that folder up to under your regular mail, it actually has to send those messages out from the On My Mac folder and it sends it out over the internet, and then it comes back into your box. So it's not instantaneous, but it's
Hey, how we
pretty
doing,
quick.
brother?
Good. Didn't mean to startle you.
That's okay. It's okay. I'm
Yeah, yeah.
we're zooming. Yeah, check it.
Oh, okay. Excuse me. So when you say it's individual, I have to open the file and move each one separately?
Not
or-
each mail. Are they in folders?
They're in folders. What it is, it's all these summit things. It's all this
So,
other stuff.
so you would drag the folder up into the other mailbox on the left side of your, where you want it to place. Make sure you're not putting it over another folder, but you just let it
Okay.
go there. But then it takes a while for them to all come. And what I always do is I then check the new location of the folder. If it says, oh, there's 25 emails, then I go to the old on my Mac folder, the same folder. And if it says, oh, there's 25 emails, then I know I can delete the one on my Mac. And you do that by right clicking or control click on that folder in the on my Mac and delete it.
Okay, so the place that I'm-
If you need to have this done, you know, it'd probably take a half hour of remote support to get you started, to make sure you're on the right track, and then you can do them yourselves. You can reach out to me and hire me to do that, just to get it started if you want.
So the question is, so I'm having the other email account that I'm moving it to, iCloud or whatever. It's just above. I'm just moving it from that space to the other. I'm not, I don't know if I'm making my sense. So
Well, it's not actually moving it. I believe that it will become a green plus sign and copy it.
Okay.
And therefore it leaves them in both places. So then when everything's there and you've verified it, you can delete it from the on my Mac.
And how do I contact you if I want to hire you for this?
I'll put my I'll give you my email, NOS, like November Oscar Sierra, KEN @gmail.com. And again, I wouldn't do them all for you. I just get you started on the right track,
Right.
because you probably have a bunch to do, but you know, mail's pretty important and it might only take 15 minutes. So.
Okay. Thank you
And I
very
can
much.
do it via Zoom, believe it or not. So.
Great.
Cool. All right. And Karen, you have another question?
Yes, on the health app, I went to the first thing that Al posted here, and it said to go to the health app and hit summary. That didn't work. And I hit browse, and then it got me to the right place. And then I came back and I read the second posting that he made, and it says go to the health app and tap on your picture up in the upper right corner. That works. But the first posting that he put here does not work.
Okay.
So I
that's again,
connected and my records came in instantly.
oh, they came in. Oh, fantastic. That's great. So it's time for us to quit. If you remember, since there's some new links in there, you might want to save the chat window again. I'm going to go save it so I have it. And I will try to post the recording of this online. In the meantime, I'll find out why it wasn't allowing me to put it right on YouTube. So I'll upload it to YouTube. And I think that's it. And gosh, happy New Year, everyone. 2021, you know, we gotta still get through a little bit of it. There's end in sight, and thank goodness there's hope on the horizon. So
Thanks
have a
very
great
much.
one and Happy New Year.